Hello everyone, today we are starting the story of a physically disabled young man who dives headfirst into a virtual world game. This game promises 100% real experiences and offers its users the chance to completely heal themselves of any physical disabilities, but the only condition is that they must log in daily. Join us as we go deeper into the tale. Please leave a like as today's like goal is 1500 likes. Hit the subscribe button for more videos. So let's start the story without any delay. The tale begins with an advertisement of a virtual world game running on TV. The ad showcases Empyrean Realm, promising an ideal virtual universe where anyone can live a second life. Through advanced technologies like quantum entanglement and neuroconnection, players dive into experiences that feel 100% real, from feeling the warmth of sunlight to tasting delicious virtual cuisine that's so good it'll make Gordon Ramsay jealous. They can undertake daring expeditions and dive into thrilling battles, all while soaring freely through the skies like a superhero on caffeine. Moreover, the game boasts endless business prospects, enabling users to swiftly accumulate wealth akin to a CEO and even find love with rich and beautiful partners of their choice, regardless of gender. It's like Tinder, but with fewer awkward first dates and more virtual romance. Adding to the allure, the latest gaming helmet has the remarkable ability to repair users' nerves and rejuvenate their bodies, but there's a catch: they must log into the game daily. This groundbreaking news sparks hope for people like Chen, who grapple with physical disabilities. So Chen wastes no time and purchases the gaming helmet promoted by Tianjin Corp, eagerly anticipating the fulfillment of their promises. Life wasn't always this way for him. In the past, he held a high-paying job with a promising future. However, a tragic accident dramatically changed everything. While bravely protecting someone, Chen suffered severe injuries, plunging him into misfortune. To save him, his family had to exhaust all their savings and sell their properties. Despite their efforts, Chen was left only capable of moving his head and arms. From that moment on, he became a burden on his sister's shoulders and a target for judgmental onlookers who seemed to have nothing better to do than belittle him. Despite being aware of his tragic story, they couldn't resist dripping their words with malice. Chen reluctantly acknowledges that this is his new reality. Not wanting to further burden his sister, Chen makes a decision to quit his life. Fortunately, the game called Empyrean Realm emerges. This game has stirred up countless rumors. Some claim that players who participated in its internal testing underwent remarkable transformations, with one even allegedly becoming superhuman. However, what truly captures Chen's attention is the game's rumored capability to aid high paraplegia and vegetative state patients in regaining mobility and returning to normal life. Fueled by these whispers of hope, Chen stakes his future on this game. With the determination of a hungry squirrel eyeing a nut, Chen heads straight home, eager to immediately test the game. However, upon his return, he finds his sister absent. Examining his surroundings, he notices his phone displaying a message from her, explaining that she'll be working overtime. Instead of deterring him, this only strengthens his resolve. Hastily, he retrieves the gaming helmet he had purchased, unsure if it will work flawlessly since it's a second-hand VR headgear. Due to financial constraints, he has no other option. Thus, he hopes for the best and logs into the game. As the game fully boots up, a system avatar materializes, warmly welcoming him into the Empyrean Realm. The system avatar prompts him to enter his ID, which he does without hesitation, choosing a peculiar name for himself, only I'm Wild. With that settled, the system avatar dramatically tears through the fabric of space, unveiling the breathtaking in-game world to him. However, he can't help but notice something unusual. When he looks down at his own hands, he's taken aback by their fluffiness. They are like really fluffy. Fluffier than a sheep after a spa day. Surprised and confused, he wonders if this is a new character class in the game, as he hasn't heard any players discussing it before. Typically, games start with character customization and clothing options. As he examines himself further, it becomes evident that he is transformed into a wild beast, a far cry from the warrior, puppeteer, and shooter classes he had expected. Now he ponders if he can still hunt wild beasts for leveling up or making money in this new form. If not, it would be a total problem for him, which makes him panic. However, freaking out wouldn't get him anywhere, so with nerves of steel and fur, he takes a deep breath and opens the character menu. To his dismay, the game classifies him as a weak werewolf, bringing significant disadvantages: a 20% penalty to his basic type specialty, lower than average attributes, a low-class bloodline, and a mere 1% critical rate. Upon seeing this, he feels a deep sense of disappointment, even bringing tears to his eyes. However, suddenly it dawns upon him he realizes that he can now move, and his new form feels incredibly real, just like his physical body before his accident. This fills him with excitement, so he immediately tests his newfound mobility by running around with unrestrained joy. He even lets out a howl like a real beast, a manifestation of his happiness. However, his celebration is short-lived as his howl attracts the attention of other players. To them, he's just an ugly beast, a stepping stone to level up. One player even remarks that it isn't easy to deal critical damage to ugly creatures, which Chen can't help but feel a pang of annoyance at such comments. But he also can't deny that their in-game gear looks impressive, even though they're rookies, which deepens his appreciation for the game. However, the approaching players have a different agenda. They're only excited about the prospect of taking him down and looting his valuable weapon for profit. This revelation shocks him. He hadn't expected his weapon to be so expensive. The reason soon becomes clear as he witnesses himself dealing substantial damage to rookie players. Unfortunately, taking on 5 opponents at once is impossible for him at his current level, so he desperately stalls for time, putting all his hopes in the chance that other wild beasts will automatically attack the players. Just as he expected, several creatures like him emerge from the bushes and attack the players at the same time, dealing significant damage to them, smashing them in all directions. While his adversaries are getting overwhelmed, Chen seizes the opportunity for a back shot, landing the final blow. This earns him 10 points of the Soul Aura and 1 point of Monster Reputation, which also unlocks the Reputation store. This discovery fills him with joy as he realizes that defeating players could yield rewards, so he eagerly continues his onslaught, amassing a total of 30 points of the Soul Aura and 3 more Monster Reputation points. Additionally, he obtains 5 basic level recovery potions. This piqued his curiosity about whether this medicine came from the Reputation store, so he opened the store window. To his surprise, it seemed his assumptions were wrong. The store didn't sell recovery medicine. It appeared that wild beasts like him couldn't purchase such items. However, on the brighter side, he noticed that he could level up his talent and status in the store. With this, Chen recalled reading on the official website that players didn't possess talents until they chose their careers. In his case, it seems to be a significant advantage as he has already got talents that can be upgraded, along with a weapon at hand and higher damage than other players. So he wondered if being a wild beast was a sort of cheat code, but that is only the case if he could also kill his own kind. If not, he would be stuck at level 1. He looks at other weak werewolves and considers trying killing them. He apologizes to them, and without hesitating, he begins his killing spree. To his delight, he discovers that he can eliminate those beasts without alerting other wolves. This realization fills him with joy, and he proceeds with his attack eagerly. A few moments later, he has taken down a few of his fellow creatures, and he even gets fortunate enough to earn a quality upgrade point. This development excites him even further, so he persists with his unprovoked menace behavior, fueled by increased energy. 15 minutes later, he notices that he looks stronger than before. His prefix has finally improved from weak to normal, and not only has his character changed, but his physical body has also become stronger. The negative stats he initially had are now gone like yesterday's leftovers. This realization fills him with excitement. He's happy to discover that being a wild beast isn't a bad thing in this game, and the realism of it all makes it feel like he himself is undergoing transformation. However, his celebrations are short-lived as his attention is diverted by a scream for help. With eyes wide with shock and adrenaline pumping through his virtual veins, he whips around to investigate, ready to face whatever digital dangers lie ahead. Chen can't believe his virtual eyes. A bunch of knuckleheads are cornering a poor girl, all in the name of some ridiculous rumor they heard. Apparently, they're on a mission to verify whether hitting players without any equipment with just a club would cause their clothes to burst off. To Chen's disbelief, it seems to be true as the poor pink-haired girl's armor is in tatters. In the real world, Lingji's friend suggests that she shut down the game to dodge the awkward situation unfolding in the virtual realm. But Lingji, with her pink hair and iron will, isn't about to throw in the virtual towel just yet, as doing so would result in a 3-hour downtime as punishment, and she had already signed a contract to be ambassador of Empyrean and needed to promote the game soon, so she wouldn't quit now. However, her decision might change as the perverts continue shamelessly leering at her body. One of the perverts comments on her nice body, saying that he has heard that this game uses the player's real body shape, and that's making him even more brazen. Luckily, Chen is not having any of this harassment, so he bonks the offender hard on the head. Since he had leveled up, dispatching the others is easier, and having good recovery potions at his disposal really helps him quicken the process. However, he considers it a shame that only 1 potion would drop from each player, and that isn't enough. Meanwhile, Lingji assumes that the wolf has saved her, and she notices he is eyeing the potions, so she thanks him by giving him all the potions she has. This surprises Chen because he had initially planned to attack her as well. However, because of her kind gesture, he decides against it and simply takes the potions before leaving the scene. Lingji receives a system notification asking about her progress and reminding her that the promotion is about to start. She assures the inquiry that she is fine and instructs them to begin preparing for the promotion. With that settled, Chen notices that there are people everywhere. It seems like he isn't far from the newbie village. If he stands out too much, he might become a target for elimination. So he decides to stay away from other players as much as possible and focus on hunting other demonic beasts. After a while, he determines that he has distanced himself far enough to be safe for now. Since he had become a wild beast as soon as he logged into the game, he has no idea what the other players are doing. So he seizes this opportunity to go to the forums and watch the officially released promotion clip to get a better sense of what is happening in the game world. To his surprise, he spots the pink-haired girl he had saved earlier in the promotion clip. This revelation astonishes him because he had never imagined that she had such a background. However, what surprises him even more is the sheer number of players in the game. It appears that there are more players than wild beasts, and they are fiercely competing for resources, making it challenging to level up. Yet he can't help but smile at his unique situation as a wild beast. He has the advantage of being able to explore the deepest parts of the forest without worrying about monster attacks. This gives him access to a vast number of beasts to hunt and gain experience from. So he continues his rampage with enthusiasm, and each kill rewards him with 10 points of soul aura, 1 talent upgrade fragment, tier 0, and 1 status upgrade point, tier 0. After a few moments, he had acquired 10 tier 0 talent upgrade fragments. It seemed that he could finally upgrade his talents to a lowly werewolf bloodline, which increased his normal attack's critical chance from 1% to 6%. This delighted him as it was a significant improvement. However, he couldn't help but wonder why the game always provides him with tier 0 status upgrade points. To find clues, he examines the information about these tier 0 status upgrade points. With this, he discovers that he could either sell 10 of them to gain 0.1 monster popularity or merge 10 of them to create a single tier 1 status upgrade point. He reflects that he needed 10 of these to rank up, which meant he had to defeat at least 100 opponents, but that would be time-consuming. So it seems like he needs to find higher-level beasts to increase his chances of obtaining tier 1 status upgrade point. Thus, Chen wastes no time and begins attacking ordinary rank werewolves one after the other. This earns him 15 points of the soul aura with each kill, helping him reach level 2 faster. He reflects that his level went up, but the status upgrade point that dropped are still tier 0 and no equipment dropped. This makes him feel a bit cheated. Realizing this, he understands the need to challenge stronger opponents. Fortunately, he doesn't have to search for long as he spots a formidable-looking beast, unlike any he had encountered before. Chen observes that despite its formidable appearance, the beast is still only level 1. Now at level 2 and equipped with spare potions, he feels confident in his ability to win the fight. So without hesitation, he engages the beast in combat. While fighting, Chen realizes that this beast has higher damage. However, Chen's agility, stamina, and performance prove to be an advantage. After a respectable 5 minutes of intense battle, he emerges victorious. The battle yields 20 points of the soul aura, 1 talent upgrade fragment, tier 1, and 1 status upgrade point, tier 1, and even his shabby werewolf club as a dropped item. It's clear that spending 5 minutes fighting such monsters was definitely worth the effort. But the problem now is that he has 2 weapons in hand, and he doesn't plan on dual-wielding them. Luckily, he remembered that he could sell one for 300 yuan. But before that, he needs to confirm the market price. So he decides to check the official website. After searching the market, he finds that the weapon has only seen 100 transactions, suggesting that it is quite scarce. However, he decides to list it for 260 yuan just to see if it would sell. After placing the item on the market, he closes the window and is about to continue his journey. To his surprise, a notification immediately pops up. Opening it, he discovers that the item has been instantly purchased by a player named 4Cover, and after the deduction of 5% handling fee by the platform, the remaining payment has already been transferred to his bank account. Seeing this news, he quickly connects his phone and opens the message to verify if it was real. To his delight, the transaction was indeed a success. This brings immense happiness to him as he can now start earning money and not be a burden to his sister, Lu Yi. It also means that the company wasn't lying about the numerous business opportunities in Empyrean. With his special class and newfound confidence, he becomes even more excited to explore this virtual world further, so he continues his killing spree. 20 minutes later, a cheerful system interface pops up, announcing to our hero that he's officially leveled up to level 3. His attack, defense, and HP have all received a much-needed boost, making him feel like the virtual Hercules of the Empyrean God realm. However, he can't help but feel disappointed as he had defeated around 20 ordinary werewolves and 1 level 1 strong werewolf, yet nothing valuable had dropped. With this in mind, he decides to challenge a level 2 special beast in the area. There are a total of 5 special beasts, 2 at level 1, another 2 at level 2, and 1 at level 3. So he plans to kill these level 1 and level 2 beasts, allowing him to repeatedly hunt all 4 beasts per respawn cycle. With this plan in mind, he eagerly approaches the first level 2 beast he encounters. Chen is surprised as his direct attack to the beast's head fails to kill it. Instead, the beast counterattacks. But the damage from the counterattack is low, only slightly higher than that of a level 1 beast. Yet it compensates for its low attack damage with incredible attack speed, earning its name the Nimble Werewolf. Despite its impressive speed, Chen believes it doesn't matter much at such low levels. It's 15:30 and he feels confident that he can take down all 4 beasts before their respawn. So he strictly executes his plans as fast as he can. After a gruesome 40 minutes, Chen has his main character moment standing in a pile of dead werewolves he just mercilessly slaughtered. Curious about his progress, he opens his stats window. Unable to help himself, he grins as he notices that upgrading his talent to Tier 1 has granted him a 10% critical hit rate. But what excites him even more is the option to choose from 3 rewards every time his status upgrades. This feature allows him to upgrade his abilities up to 50% in each type of werewolf he wants to become, which is very helpful. He chooses the strong type. With this decision, he transforms into a special beast, significantly enhancing his abilities, and this makes him feel invincible. After half an hour, Chen has grown significantly stronger than before. It seems like he has chosen every available special talent for his current rank, resulting in a lengthy description that categorizes him as a strong, nimble, honky werewolf. He has also reached level 4. However, before continuing his hunt, he decides to sell the clubs he had obtained. Judging from their condition, he figures people would still buy them even at a price of 300 yuan. So he lists them all at that price. To his surprise, as soon as he closes the trade window, a message pops up, notifying him that all of his items have been sold immediately. This makes his eyes light up with excitement as he realizes he has earned 1,700 yuan in just one afternoon. He realizes that this means he could buy his little sister, Lu Yi, a new set of clothes. Meanwhile, Ling Ji is doing a victory dance over finally snagging a club. However, as she thinks about it, she can't help but wonder how the seller named Only I'm Wild had managed to acquire so many clubs. It doesn't make sense because there are numerous rookies fighting over a limited number of monsters, making it nearly impossible to gather so much equipment. This raises suspicions, leading her to consider whether the seller might be the highest level player in their region. To confirm her assumptions, she decides to check the leaderboard. To her surprise, there is no player with the name Only I'm Wild, not even among the top 500 players in their area. With this, she concludes that the seller must be an illegal broker. However, before she could delve deeper into her investigation, her friend reminds her that it is time for her livestream. Reluctantly, she halts her investigation and starts the livestream, warmly greeting everyone. Then she introduces herself as Fengling Ji and proceeds to show around the newbie village. She explains that there are already more than 100,000 players within the newbie village, making it incredibly crowded that players might not be able to get out after they have entered. Meanwhile, the overcrowding is causing dissatisfaction among players. One of them complains that it would be better if the developers had set up more newbie villages. He's been online for 2 hours and still can't get out of the newbie area, which makes leveling up a real pain. Plus, they're all squished in here like sardines. Meanwhile, a girl jokes that she might end up pregnant just because it's so darn crowded. Ling Ji steps in to lift their spirits, offering tips on how to level up quicker. She suggests getting a club from the trading place, even though it's just a level 1 weapon, having it would give them an edge over the masses. Meanwhile, Chen tunes into her stream, finally understanding why his weapon had gained such popularity. Watching the chaos in the newbie village, he realizes the struggle players face in progressing there. In contrast, he feels grateful to roam freely as a wild beast. Despite the small number of beasts in his area, Chen couldn't waste time idling. With 4 special beasts left to farm, he springs into action. Each special werewolf he defeats earns him between 28 to 38 points of the soul aura, along with talent and status upgrades. In just a short time, Chen successfully boosts his talent and status, feeling so powerful that even defeating beasts 1 level above him is a breeze. With ease, Chen dispatches a level 5 nimble werewolf, earning 50 points of the soul aura, Tier 1 upgrades, and another tattered werewolf club. Excitedly, he anticipates earning another 300 yuan from selling the club. However, shock fills his eyes as he picks up the club. To his amazement, it turns out to be an S-grade weapon, offering additional stats beyond extra attack points. It also provides extra attributes like 2 points in power, translating to 2 points in attack and 1 point in defense. Furthermore, the 2 points in physical build mean an additional 40 health points and 40 energy points, making it a godly item for a newbie. The only question on his mind now is how much he should sell it for. With this in mind, he decides to open up the forum, hoping to find someone who could provide him with reliable opinions. However, to his dismay, he is met with a bunch of trolls who don't take his questions seriously. So it seems like he has no choice but to seek information in the trading place instead. Unfortunately, it appears that no one has ever sold an S-grade club before, so he has to make a decision without much guidance. Considering that this weapon is only level 1, he realizes that pricing it too high could be troublesome if no one buys it. It's better to sell it quickly, so he decides to auction it with a starting price of 1,000 yuan. He just hopes that it will be sold within half an hour. If it indeed sells, he could earn 3,000 yuan today, and if this trend continues for a month, he wouldn't have to worry about money anymore. Meanwhile, one of the players comes across his auction and can't help but wonder why he's starting the bidding at 1,000 yuan. It seems like an absurdly high price for a level 1 club, so they assume the seller might be looking for someone gullible enough to buy it. However, this doesn't align with the prices he has set for previous weapons, which were quite reasonable. Therefore, it suggests that there is something special about this particular weapon. A few moments later, deep within the forest, Chen continues his grind. He acquires another weapon, bringing a grin to his face that even the pixelated sun can't outshine as he adds another 300 yuan to his earnings. And to top it all off, he hits level 5. However, the issue he faces is that he is only getting tier 1 talent shards and evolution points, so it seems like he needs to venture even deeper into the forest. And so he does just that, pushing through the dense underbrush and towering trees. Luckily, his persistence pays off when he encounters a level 6 werewolf with exceptional agility. Looking at it up close, there is no doubt that this beast possesses a tier 2 status prefix. With this, excitement fills Chen's eyes as he eagerly prepares to face it. Not even a moment passes before their attacks clash, and their fight is so epic that every attack tears through the wind. But still, Chen emerges victorious, earning 70 points of a life energy along with tier 2 talent shards and 1 2-star quality evolution point. This confirms his earlier assumptions, so he decides to focus solely on hunting monsters with exceptional in their names. It's late at night, and after a whole day of grinding, Chen has finally achieved level 6. It had been tough, especially since the experience required had skyrocketed starting from level 5. But even so, he's happy because he has also leveled up his status. His prefix is now changed to werewolf with exceptional strength and agility. Then he checks his status, and it becomes evident that evolving to a 2-star status directly doubled his attributes. However, he can't help but feel that these prefixes are becoming a problem. Because of this, he could be easily spotted even when trying to hide behind the trees. Still, he decides to deal with this issue another time as he has been grinding for so long and he's tired. So it's time to log off for today. But before that, he needs to handle the equipment he has obtained. He opens up the trade window and puts it all up for trade. As soon as he's done, his eyes light up as he knows that he has just earned a significant amount of cash. He lists the 9 regular clubs for 300 each and the 2 small high-quality ones with agility boost for 700 to 800 each in the auction area. With this, as he logs out, he wonders if his sister, Lu Yi, is back yet because at last he is making money to support the family, just as he used to. Not long after he successfully logs off and takes off his helmet, he notices a warm sensation in his hands. Witnessing the company's promises becoming reality, he assumes that this might also mean he could regain his sensations in the future. With this thought, his eyes light up once more, and he is pleased that his second-hand gaming headset was a good purchase. However, his celebration is short-lived as he hears their front door creak. This could only mean that his sister was working overtime again and had come back very late. Looking at her closely, she seems to be drunk, which makes Chen worried. So he asks Lu Yi why she is in that state. However, she is too focused on sharing some good news with her brother, so she doesn't answer his question. Instead, she comes close to her brother and tells him the good news that she's going to make a large amount of money, this time since their company is moving to the Empyrean Realm, and she's a core member of the team. Chen questions what she means by moving to Empyrean Realm, to which Lu Yi tells her that their head office has found great business opportunities in the 9th Heaven domain, so they allocated 5 million for them to join the game, which is the reason for their recent celebration. She adds that the best part is that she is now the deputy team leader. Unexpectedly, she is so drunk and happy that she somehow ends up sitting on her stepbrother's lap, which makes Chen feel flustered. However, he isn't as intoxicated as she is, so he gently reminds her to be careful next time, considering that she is all grown up now and their current position is quite awkward for step-siblings to be in. To his surprise, Lu Yi's drunkenness seemed to unleash some boldness in her as she didn't seem to mind being so close to her stepbrother. She even rationalized that they weren't real siblings after all, therefore she believes that she isn't doing anything wrong. What's more, she has already decided that she wants to be with him forever and take care of him for a lifetime. Lu Chen is taken aback by this revelation, and he couldn't even respond since his face is already buried against her melons as she's hugging him tightly. In an oddly surreal turn of events, they somehow tumble off his wheelchair, landing in an even more awkward position. Lu Bi shows no sign of stopping. In fact, she presses herself even closer to Lu Chen, and before he can utter a word, she gently touches his lips, silencing him as she doesn't want to hear him talk about not wanting to burden her. She tells him to rest easy, especially since the Empyrean God Realm has attracted hundreds of millions of players from around the world, including Fortune 500 companies, conglomerates, and even government officials, and she is presented with a massive opportunity, being paid while playing a game, and she is determined to take care of both of them. However, Lu Chen has some good news of his own to share as well, so he excitedly informs her that he is also making money in the Empyrean God Realm. Therefore, she doesn't need to work so hard to support him. Unfortunately, she doesn't hear what he said as she had already fallen asleep. Nevertheless, Lu Chen is overjoyed to see his stepsister smile again. Since she is also playing the game, he decides to tell her this at a later time as he is confident that they have many opportunities to meet there. However, he can't help but ponder the fact that even national forces have entered the game. This leads him to suspect that there might be hidden secrets within the game that they are yet to discover. He wakes up the next day only to find out that his sister has already gone to work. Still, this makes him smile as he realizes that she is truly grown up. It also means that he can't afford to idle around. So he logs into the Empyrean God Realm again. As he looks at his character, he feels thankful that he's still a wild werewolf. And seeing his balance, it seems like he has sold everything, since he got 3,915 yuan in his bank. But before he can start grinding again, he decides it would be best to check Lingji's live stream to see what's happening on the human player's side. Looking at her stream, she's complaining about how hard the game is because she played until 4 o'clock a.m., but she's only at level 3. She had heard that even the best players were just reaching level 5, and mostly they are from a big corporation. Lingji mentions that she is thankful to a player named Only I'm Wild because he had sold many clubs, making it easier for her to farm. But her appreciation for Only I'm Wild sparks jealousy among her viewers, so they start trash-talking about him, accusing him of cheating and wishing for him to get banned. Still, Lingji tries to defend Only I'm Wild, asking her viewers to stop. She had heard that Only I'm Wild had played in the beta test, which might explain why he knew how to farm clubs. Before things could escalate further, she sends goodbye to her chat, mentioning that she needs to go fight monsters as it is not easy with tens of thousands of people in the newbie village. Meanwhile, Lu Chen is glad to see that not only is this girl has a hot figure, but she is also a nice person. So before she ends her stream, he gives her a tip as thanks. In doing so, Lingji is notified of his donation, which makes her eyes filled with shock as she realizes that Only I'm Wild had watched her stream. Now that was settled, Lu Chen begins his grind, hunting level 6 exceptional beasts. As usual, with every kill, he receives semi-points of the soul aura, 2-star upgrades, and a weapon from time to time. He continues this for 3 hours straight without taking a break, and thanks to his determination, he reaches level 7, gaining an additional 740 HP. Furthermore, he upgrades his status to a perfect 2-star beast, which makes him very happy. However, he gets frustrated with the persistent issue of his ever-lengthening prefix. But since he doesn't have a clue about what to do with it, he decides to let it be for now and just move on to a higher-level area. As he strolled through the woods, he couldn't help but wonder what his name would become after another status upgrade. He even entertained the idea that it might be visible from 800 meters away. However, his train of thought was disrupted when he caught a glimpse of a cool-looking elite monster with a striking name. Not only that, but the beast also appeared to have 10 special X-elite monsters, over a dozen high-level special monsters, and the even crazier Zakas as its subordinates following it around. With this, Lu Chen knows he can't handle them alone. Still, he can't let this opportunity slip by, so he racks his brain for an idea on what to do. He decides to open his inventory only to find himself with only 4 healing potions, which are insufficient. Moreover, their cooldown times are a problem, as he's sure they wouldn't keep up with his need in battling the boss. The 17 clubs he had collected are also useless for this situation. Additionally, his upgrading materials aren't sufficient for another upgrade, so it seems like facing the boss isn't a smart move in his current condition. However, before he could turn away, he is reminded of the reputation store, which he immediately opens. To his surprise, the store is selling a unique item called the Legion Recruitment Order. Looking at its information, it seems that he could recruit a creature using this item. It is mentioned that after recruitment, the wild creature's level and talent rank wouldn't exceed that of the recruiter, and its status must be lower than the recruiter's level after recruiting. Additionally, the creature's original equipment would be cleared, and if the creature died, it would disappear without dropping experience, equipment, or items, but the recruiter would get back the Legion recruitment order. However, recruiting a beast isn't simple either, as the player needs to engage in a one-on-one duel with the target and is unable to use potions during the duel. Also, if the target is attacked by an outside party, recruitment would automatically fail. But the player doesn't have to worry about unintentionally killing the target because after defeating it, they would be left with just 1 HP and being in a recruitable state. But still, recruitment has a certain chance to fail. If it does, the target would die without dropping anything, and only the Legion recruitment order would remain, returning to his inventory. However, if the recruitment is a success, the player could consume reputation, talent fragments, and status potions to improve the attributes of the recruited entity. Now that he understands the potential of this unique item, Chen considers it to be useful for facing the boss in front of him. However, recruiting just one underling wouldn't be sufficient, so he wonders if the Legion recruitment order could be upgraded for multiple uses. Since it costs only 10 reputation points, he buys it to find out. To his surprise, he discovers that it could indeed be upgraded, but it requires a whopping 500 reputation points, a massive jump from the 10 he initially spent. And although he finds the cost to be massive, he knows that complaining wouldn't change anything. So he decides to sell all his available materials in the hopes to upgrade the item to level 3. Nevertheless, he can't help but feel a sense of loss as he watches his hard-earned 3-star materials transform into reputation points. A few moments later, he successfully upgraded his Legion order to level 3, allowing him to recruit 3 underlings, which he immediately initiates the recruitment process by challenging 3 special beasts. After defeating each one of them, he recruits them without any issues. However, he still needs to upgrade their stats, causing another tear to come out from his eyes as he uses his remaining materials. Nevertheless, he now has strong subordinates at his side, which excites him as he feels prepared to face the boss. So without any hesitation, they charge as a team to attack. They first dispose of the weakest beasts, and after 10 minutes, when the boss remains, he then commands Urzi to charge first, but to his surprise, this mini-boss packs a punch, swiftly reducing Urzi's health by more than half while sustaining only minimal damage to itself, showcasing its sturdiness. Realizing the danger, Chen orders Urzi to step back while he and Sanzi to take over, employing a cunning tactic of attacking and then retreating to recover. With this, it's only a matter of time before they defeat the werewolf men commander Quinzakas. This victory rewards Chen with 360 experience, 3-star upgrades, a white level 5 leather shoulder armor, a gray level 1 tattered wolf fur vest, and a green level 5 shattered stone club. Chen is particularly excited about the green status gear because it has high attack and additional attributes, providing an extra +6 in strength, +8 in agility, and +6 in stamina. It's a potent weapon on its own, making Chen hesitant to sell it, and due to this, he comes up with a clever plan. Instead of selling it, he decides to wait for Zakas to respawn and obtain another weapon from him. While he waits, he commands his subordinates to roam the area, targeting werewolves at levels 7 to 8. However, before they leave, he reminds them not to wander too far, always pick up equipment, rest when their health drops below 40%, and immediately notify him if Zakas respawns. This effectively sets up an auto-farming system that allows him to take a break while monitoring his experience and loot increasing from a distance. To his surprise, it seems like his subordinates are more efficient than he is, which makes him feel relieved. Now he doesn't have to worry about them too much. So he takes this opportunity to check the player's situation in the live stream room while hoping that no one has already caught up to him. As Chen opens the live stream, he notices that Lingji is also dedicated to her daily grind. It appears that she is even more hardworking than him, as she is currently multitasking, interacting with her viewers as she grinds, and she motivates them to strive for higher levels. She emphasizes the importance of reaching level 10 since it unlocks access to Main City in the Empyrean God Realm. At this stage, players could select from 9 major professions such as Poison Master, Spirit Tamer, Puppeteer, Archer, and more, promising a significantly more exciting gameplay experience. However, the purple-haired girl she's with pointed out that the highest level player currently was still below level 5. One of her fellow girls mentions that she has also heard that it takes 10,000 experience points just to level up from 5 to 6, so what she was talking about seemed quite distant. The purple-haired girl then inquires Ling Zhai if they should now join a guild as the guild system has been open for a while now. Ling Zhi responds that she didn't want to because based on the current situation, being part of a guild would also mean competing for resources, and she prefers the flexibility of not being tied to one. Meanwhile, learning about the guild system, Chen immediately opens the guild function. To his surprise, there are already numerous guilds to choose from, and many of them are famous groups. There is even a special forces division, which makes him wonder if it is a real military unit, but seeing the multitude of guilds makes him smile, realizing that this game is becoming more and more incredible by the day. 8 hours later, the game's realism is proven as Liu Chen even slept peacefully in the game world. He is awakened by a poke on the snout from one of his subordinates. Now fully awake, he is surprised to find that it is already 7 in the morning. This also means that Zekas respawns every 8 hours, which is quite a long time. Nevertheless, he knows there's nothing he can do about it, so he decides to let it be. But before battling Zekas again, he plans to buy 2 equipment slots so that he can equip the shoulder pads and armor. After that, he opens his character panel to check his attributes, but as he examines his information closely, shock fills his face as he can't believe that he has already reached level 8. What's even more surprising is that he is almost level 9. This outcome brings a big smile to his face as he can't believe how effective his auto-hunting subordinates have been. With 3 pieces of equipment on him, Zekas is no longer a threat. So he goes on to hunt Zekas, particularly aiming to obtain the shattered stone club again, all while wondering how much this green-grade equipment would sell for on the server. Later, he successfully kills Zekas once again, and to his delight, he obtains what he wanted, another green level 5 stone club, and as a bonus, a leather shoulder armor also drops. Since his subordinates don't have equipment yet, he plans to give these items to them. However, as soon as he opens his inventory, shock fills his face once more as he can't believe that his subordinates have actually gathered 20 clubs from farming. With this revelation, he realizes that his earlier worries about spending reputation on recruits were foolish, as it has proven to him that it was indeed worth it. But as expected, the prices of clubs have dropped as they are now only selling for 280 yuan each. However, he could still sell a few of these low-status ones for a bit more, and the white level 5 shoulder armor could be auctioned at a starting bid of 700 yuan with a buy-up price of 1,500 yuan. The only problem now is that he doesn't know how much the green club is worth. This leaves him wondering, so he decides to go to the forum and ask for advice. But even before he can do that, several messages pop up notifying him of the successful transactions of the clubs. These constant notifications are distracting, so he disables them for the time being. Now that he can focus, he notices that his subordinates are just standing still, doing nothing. So he commands them to continue grinding, finding mobs, while he goes to the forums to gather more information. To his surprise, someone has already noticed the white status shoulder armor he is selling, and it is causing quite a stir, as it has also drawn attention to the 33 pieces of club he is selling. With this, people are now curious about who this Only I'm Wild player is. However, this doesn't surprise him because even though monsters could avoid appearing on the gaming rankings, sellers couldn't hide their IDs when selling items, so getting noticed was just a matter of time. In fact, this only makes him more confident that they would take his question more seriously now that they had noticed him. So he asks how much a green level 5 weapon is worth, and just like what he assumed, someone immediately answers, saying that it could be sold for 5,000 yuan, considering the shoulder armor was sold for 1,500. Still, the trolls persist as they try to confuse him. However, since the first reply seems to have taken his question seriously, Liu Chen decides to follow that advice, setting the starting bid for the Stone Club at 1,000 yuan with a buyout price of 5,000 yuan, and even if it doesn't sell immediately, he can try again in 8 hours. Meanwhile, purple-haired friend of Ling Ji seems to be in shock to see the green status club, and even more surprising is that it came from the Only I'm Wild user again. This is impressive because he not only had a white status item, but also green ones. With this, the purple-haired girl asks Ling Jia if she's friends with this Only I'm Wild guy, to which she responds that she isn't, but she had already come up with a plan to convince Only I'm Wild to add her. To do that, Ling Ji asks her friend to track Only I'm Wild's ID, and as soon as he enters her live stream, she needs to inform her, which her friend understands. Meanwhile, Liu Chen continues his grind with his minions, and 2.5 hours later, Liu Chen has reached level 9. To his surprise, he realizes that leveling up to 10 requires 100,000 experience points, which seems insane considering he had just farmed 50,000 points of the Soul Aura to reach level 9. However, when he looks at his stats, it seems reasonable as his attack has surpassed 60, and he boasts 1150 HP. Nevertheless, his focus is interrupted as a bright light catches his eye beside a pile of corpses. Investigating it, he finds 15 bottles of healing potions, which makes him happy. It's indeed surprising to find potions dropping in bundles, so he continues to investigate his surroundings and finds a trail of potions lined up ahead. Even though it looks like a trap, his greed gets the better of him, so he follows the path, looting all the potions he comes across as he sees the opportunity for a big profit. As expected, the trail leads him to a group of players, and due to his current appearance and his long prefix, they assume he is the Zekas boss. A female player voices her concern, questioning is not the boss named Kunin. Her fellow player reassures her, pointing out that with such a long prefix, this must indeed be the boss. He even directs her attention to the club in Lu Chen's hand and the leather shoulder armor he wears. Convinced by these signs, the girl agrees. He starts shouting, urging others to attack Lu Chen, affirming that this is indeed Queen Zaka's. Another one laughs, declaring that they are going to be rich now that they have finally found the boss. Since they are particularly aiming to defeat Zaka's to gain money just like only I'm Wild did and secure a level 10 spot in the main city, they immediately go into formation and attack him. As one of them lands his club on Lu Chen's head, he doesn't even flinch as he expected this already. The man is surprised that he only got 1 point of damage, while Lu Chen reflects that his physical defense is already at 28 and his opponent is only at level 5, so their attack is only at 23 at best, and the 1 point of damage inflicted is just the game forcibly deducting 1 HP to show that it made contact. With this outcome, the player's morale drops as they wonder about the kind of defense this beast has. Not only that, but it also has a massive amount of health. However, before their morale could plummet even further, their leader, silver-haired lady named Bai Ruyu, reassures them, suggesting that the damage they see might be the minimum damage dealt, and since they have plenty of potions, they can slowly wear the beast down. With these few words and the belief that they are the strongest, they are easily convinced, and so they continue to attack the beast together. But Lu Chen, on the other hand, remains standing emotionless, unfazed by their attacks, allowing these delusional players to figure it out for themselves. However, even though a considerable amount of time has passed, it seems like they are still unwilling to admit that their attacks are only dealing 1 damage to him, which doesn't make sense to Lu Chen. So he begins to wonder if these players are simply stupid. Nonetheless, waiting for them to realize the truth would be a waste of time. He can't keep targeting his own kind either. So a wicked grin appears on his face as he realizes he has to fulfill his role as a monster. Now that he has made up his mind, Lu Chen gives the closest player a piece of his mind, almost killing him. But he isn't done yet as Lu Chen decides to give him the other piece. However, before Lu Chen can deliver the final blow, the players begin using their potions. Still, they soon realize that their potions aren't helping much as it only restores 10 points per second, and each has a cooldown of 10 seconds. But since they have come this far and are unwilling to retreat, so they decide to be more careful with their positioning and take turns attacking the beast. To their surprise, as Lu Chen begins to move, their attacks can't even land a hit. Instead, they are the ones receiving damage, creating a bursting effect with every strike they receive. With this, they finally realize that winning isn't possible from the start, so they make the decision to run, but it's already too late, as Lu Chen has firmly resolved to eliminate them, and not even a moment has passed before Lu Chen wipes out the group that was attacking him. And it appears that he is now grinning with delight as he has acquired 27 baubles of potions from just 1 player, so it seems like he has just made a fortune once again. From what he has gathered by observing them, these people must have noticed the declining price of regular clubs, so they decided to hunt for Zaka's. But after the lesson he has just taught them, they probably wouldn't dare to try again for at least a few more days. This means that he can continue grinding for a while and work his way up to level 10. Meanwhile, in the real world, inside the Jiangxing Technology Development Zone, the group who failed to defeat Lu Chen, whom they had mistaken for Zaka's boss, are conducting a meeting to discuss the recent events. They seem to have copium running through their veins, convincing each other that the outcome is fairly normal since the boss's level is 3 levels higher than theirs. So unless they level up and acquire stronger equipment, it would be wise to postpone attacking the boss for now. They also recognize that the effort isn't entirely in vain because they now know the location of the boss. However, a nagging question lingers in their minds, wondering how did the user named Only I'm Wild manage to do it. They are now beginning to realize that this Only I'm Wild player is much stronger than they had initially assumed. Meanwhile, inside the game, Lu Chen is relieved to see that the emails have finally stopped pouring in. There were so many that he wasn't even sure if all the items he had put on the market had been sold. He organizes his emails and is pleased to discover that everything has indeed been sold, leaving him with 2,221 yuan in his bank. However, he can't celebrate just yet because he still needs to reply to all the people who had messaged him. However, it would take him quite some time to individually respond to each message, so he decides to send a single group email to express his gratitude to everyone for their kind gestures, but he wouldn't be adding any in-game friends, and for those inquiring about equipment, he assures them that he will send an email before consigning equipment to ensure a fair competition. With those matters settled, he closed his email tab and resumed his grinding. 8 hours later, excitement fills Lu Chen as he finally reaches level 10. His continuous grinding had paid off, and he had also acquired 28 clubs, one shoulder armor, one vest, and a handful of upgrade materials. Looking at his attributes, it becomes evident that the 100,000 experience points were worth it, as it resulted in a qualitative change in his abilities. But now that he had reached level 10, curiosity fills his mind as he wonders if there are any new surprises awaiting him at the Reputation store. Without delay, he opens the store to his surprise and discovers 3 new options in the Reputation store. Intrigued, Chen first explores the skin tab. Currently, the only skin in store is of the werewolf, prices at 1,000 reputation points, and since he is already a werewolf, this skin is useless for him. So he moves on to the Bloodline tab. Instantly, he's astonished as the information says that after defeating a sufficient number of creatures of same species, he can obtain their bloodline. It is mentioned that bloodlines are core items for acquiring talents and enhancing talent ability. Plus, if someone also had that creature's skin, he or she can completely change form and can acquire access to unique talents inherent to that species. Chen finds it impressive to combine bloodline and skin of any species. What's even more intriguing about this enhancement is that it allows him to acquire the appearance and attack methods of other species, provided he obtains their skins. This excites him greatly, as it means he could potentially transform into various wild monsters or even into a human being. This is fantastic news. However, he can't make this decision just yet because he hasn't finished reading all the tab descriptions, so he proceeds to the 3rd tab called Martial Arts, where he can find an enhancement that grants the user the 4th attribute known as mana, enabling them to use magical attacks and defenses. There are 2 options available. The first is the low-level Martial Arts, which unlocks mana for 1,000 points, and the other, also requiring 1,000 points to unlock, is the yellow rank spell Induction, allowing the user to analyze yellow-level spells used by wild monsters after defeating them. Now that Chen has read all of their descriptions, he hopes to obtain all of them since they all seem great. However, due to limited resources, he has to choose wisely, so he decides to start with low-level martial arts technique Demon Beast Meditation, which allows him to gain 1 mana point for every minute of meditation. With this decision made, he begins his meditation. There are 3 main ways to obtain mana in the game: for killing wild monsters, meditating online, and taking potions. While meditating and training, he can't perform any other operations, including trading. This is a bit of a hassle for him, so he decides to meditate for another time. Having spent a long time in the game already, he plans to log out, but before doing so, as he usually does, he decides to list all his loot for trade and auction. Afterward, he checks out the live stream to see what other players are up to. Since Lingji is specifically waiting for Chen to join her stream, she makes sure to track his anonymous ID from the previous stream. The moment she sees his anonymous ID, she launches her scheme to add Chen as a friend. She starts a raffle, calling it a way to give back to her fans, in which she will choose a random audience member from her room and give them a club. To Chen's surprise, she specifically gives this gift to him. This unexpected turn of events leaves Chen amazed. Since he hasn't been in her live stream for long yet, he has already won something. Before he can take any action, Lingji contacts him immediately, requesting his account ID so she can add him as a friend and send him her prize. However, he refuses and suggests she give it to someone else instead, but she proves to be persistent as she isn't taking no for an answer. 3 minutes later, they are still engaged in an argument and Lingji persists, making another attempt to persuade Chen to accept her gift. She suggests that he consider it a favor to her. The only way he could convince her otherwise is to show her that he already has a club with him. To prove it, she asks him to take a screenshot while holding it. However, Chen understands that his current intimidating appearance, marked by a long prefix wielding a werewolf club and accompanied by 3 idiots, might terrify others. So, accepting Lingji's gift appears to be a most sensible choice. Besides, Lingji had previously been quite supportive of him, especially when dealing with haters. As a gesture of goodwill, he agrees to her proposal and accepts her friend request, thereby revealing his true in-game name to her. Lingji pretends to be surprised to conceal the fact that she had recognized him from the beginning. But since Chen did her a favor, she takes the opportunity to really express her gratitude and makes the big announcement. She announces that the path to the Mist Fog Forest that leads to the level 10 main city has just opened up. She then sends her best wishes to Only I'm Wild for becoming the first player to reach the main city. Chen considers it impolite to delete someone as a friend right after receiving a gift, so he decides to let it be and just head to the poisonous Mist Forest as Lingji had recommended. Chen arrives at the poisoned Mist Forest where a tablet greets him at the entrance, stating that this is the only way to the level 10 main city, which is also home to numerous powerful creatures throughout history. Only 1 out of every 10 people can escape from this place due to the challenging battles and hindered visibility caused by the poisonous mist. It is recommended not to get too obsessed with fighting here and to escape as quickly as possible. However, this only makes Lu Chen excited as he looks forward to meeting these so-called monsters and testing their strength. Fortunately, he doesn't have to wait long as poisonous spider-type monsters descend from the treetops, preparing to attack him in groups. And since these monsters had high levels, Lu Chen takes the battle seriously. He engages the strongest monster while his subordinates deal with its minions. To his surprise, as the battle goes on, he receives a 5-second poison debuff. Fortunately, its effects aren't too powerful, reducing his health by only 20 points per second. With this, Lu Chen continues his tactic, and within just 3 minutes, he successfully defeats the elite monster and its minions. This victory rewards him with a total of 500 points of the soul aura, 3-star upgrades, and 2 points of mana, which greatly pleases him. Unexpectedly, another system interface pops up, informing him that the elite monster had dropped a white level 6 silk braces. Since these braces provide 6 defense and 3 poison resistance, he instantly spends reputation points to open the 4th equipment slot and equips the silk braces. However, it appeared that Lu Chen couldn't catch a break in this place as another wave of monsters appeared above him, poised to attack. After 5 minutes of intense battle, Lu Chen realizes that this hellish place is too challenging. 3 of his subordinates hadn't even had time to recover their health, and none of them were left alive. Additionally, he was exhausted from playing the game for hours. With all these factors in mind, Lu Chen decides to log off immediately. Now that he's out of the game, he stretches his body since he had been playing for too long. To his surprise, he realizes that he can also lift his other arm, which was impossible before. This fills him with excitement as he realizes that the promises of the company were real. Although he couldn't move his fingers much, this was a sign of improvement. So he calls his stepsister and asks her when she's going home, mentioning that he has a surprise for her. This intrigues Lu Yi, as it had been a long time since she had heard her brother be this enthusiastic about something. So she looks forward to going home as soon as she can. However, she can't do so right now because she will be working overtime to level up, as the world of the Empyrean God Realm proves to be more challenging than she expected. Their boss had even bought each of them a club, so they need to respond in kind by working hard before the main city opens. Then she says goodbye, ends the call, and continues her work. Meanwhile, Lu Chen still has a smile on his face as he looks forward to tomorrow. When Lu Yi comes back, he might regain his physical capabilities like he used to, and that's something he eagerly anticipates. And so when the next day arrives, Lu Chen logs straight into the game, engaging in an intense fight with the spider. However, now he is more confident in dealing with these creatures. Having learned from his past mistakes, he is prepared to face the monsters that respawn in waves as soon as the elite spider dies. To his surprise, the number of monsters has doubled compared to his previous encounter. At this moment, he knows he is in trouble. Suddenly, he gets a notification that one of his subordinates has died and his 1 Legion recruitment token has returned, which shocks him beyond belief. Not long after, all of his subordinates have perished. With this turn of events, he is overwhelmed by rage. So he decides to use his potions and confront these monsters head-on. 10 minutes later, after he had vanquished the wave of monsters, Lu Chen leaves the poison mist forest with a heavy heart, still grieving over the loss of his new subordinates. However, he understands that crying won't change anything, and Zekis is about to respawn, so it's the perfect time for him to borrow 3 more idiots from him. But this time, he plans to spend his reputation to open additional equipment slots for them, allowing them to wear poison resistance gear and enhance their fighting capabilities gradually. The next day, Lu Chen and his newfound subordinates enter the poisonous mist forest, engaging in fierce battles with spiders like they own the money. Lu Chen is more confident that his subordinates will survive this time, thanks to the improvements in their status. Plus, he has given them 10 poison resistance potions each, which helps stabilize their performance. However, things don't go as smoothly as Lu Chen expected. Another elite monster appears, and its level is higher than the previous ones he had encountered. However, Lu Chen is not a quitter, so he faces the level 10 elite monster head-on. While his subordinates take care of its minions, this tactic, though time-consuming, eventually pays off. After half an hour of intense battle, they finally defeat the elite monster. The monster's drop is nothing short of impressive. In addition to the usual rewards like points of the soul aura and 3-star upgrades, it yields a white-grade silk gauntlets that provide 5 points of poison resistance and a green-grade spider fang necklace, which adds 10 poison damage to Lu Chen's attacks. This also completes the 3 pieces needed to activate the set bonus, reducing poison debuff time by half and providing an additional 5 points of poison resistance. So even though selling these items could fetch him a good amount of money, Lu Chen decided it was more beneficial to equip them now. With this, he can now defeat the elite monsters quite easily. And just like before, not even a minute had passed, the elite monsters spawned again. Now it's no under delusion that the stone tablet says 1 out of 10 can survive this place. However, this predicament brought a smile to his face, as this was exactly what he had been looking for. So he swings his huge and hard rod onto the spider lady in front of him and beats the living daylights out of it. A few hours later, he had finished grinding the spider lady, and so he left the poisonous mist forest with his subordinates still alive and well. Not only that, but he had now become a werewolf commander Black Burton. However, his prefix had grown longer, which initially bothered him, but he decided to pay it no mind. After all, he had achieved a 3-star status upgrade. Looking at his stats, he's quite content. His attack has increased to 124, his health points are at 2230, and his mana has also risen to 13, making him one hell of a unit. After that, he heads to the reputation store. To his surprise, due to the number of poison spiders he had killed, he could unlock the poisonous spider bloodline with just 1,000 reputation points. Seeing that it could boost his poison damage and increase his movement speed, he buys it without hesitation. Then he levels it up to 3, just like his werewolf bloodline. With this upgrade, he can now deal 2.5% damage to the target's total health every second for 5 seconds, and his movement speed increases by 19%. But what surprises him even more is that integrating the new bloodline has also altered his appearance. He is transformed into an abomination that could terrify even the most experienced monster hunter, with the upper body of a werewolf and the massive dump truck of a spider. Still, he ain't complaining though, since he's much faster than before. So it seems like the system really wanted him to acquire all the skins in the reputation store. But he had just spent all of his reputation points, so he had no choice but to continue playing, even though he was hungry. Luckily, he can still eat in real life. However, before he resumes his game, his attention is drawn to the world chat where players are talking about him. All because he hasn't been selling clubs as much in the past few days, so they assume that the others finally caught up to him and now he's just a loser like them. But Chen doesn't seem to mind this kind of provocation and doesn't engage with these fools, since he's a mature individual and has better things to do. Furthermore, the equipment he has put in the auction has sold for over 10,000 yuan more than the regular clubs he has sold. This makes him more profitable than before, and he has spent the entire day grinding spiders, amassing numerous pieces of equipment. Even his subordinates now have full sets of poison-resistant gear, a total of 4 sets if he includes himself. Additionally, he has 8 extra pieces of wrist and leg guards to sell. But since players haven't arrived at the poisonous mist forest yet, he decides to hold off on selling them as they wouldn't be worth much to players at the moment. Unexpectedly, as he looks through the chat, he notices that these trolls are currently planning to hunt Zakas, because they heard that Ling Ji is also searching for Zakas. With this, Chen decides to meet these trolls in person and teach them a lesson they wouldn't forget. So as soon as they had joined Ling Ji and were about to attack Zakas, Chen charges into the fray like a bull, shouting at Zakas to hold on because he was going to save him. This sudden appearance terrifies the players as they are convinced that he is an ally of Zakas. However, this is the first time they have encountered a beast like this, and considering their current circumstances, they conclude that Zakas somewhat has a chance to summon an ally if its health drops below 30%. But since they can handle Zakas with their numbers and the fact that this hybrid werewolf is only a summon of Zakas, they believe it wouldn't be any stronger than them, and its appearance is only to scare them away. So they stand their ground and raise their weapons with this newfound confidence. One of the players immediately went to attack the hybrid werewolf, but to their surprise, it only managed to deal 1 point of damage. It was at this moment that he knew he was up and looking at its health. They began doubting their eyes, questioning if they saw it right, as it was the first time they had seen a monster with over 2,000 health points, and its defense isn't to be taken lightly either. However, before their morale could drop, one player in the group assumed that the purpose of this beast was just to hold back players, and its attack is just light as a feather. So there was no reason to panic, which instantly convinced the others, since it is a reasonable conclusion after all. So, they all decided to ignore this hybrid beast and just focus on attacking Zakas. However, Chen is on demon time right now, and he's not going to let these trash talkers do what they want without catching a fade from him. So he immediately showcases his power in front of them, killing the nearest player in an instant, shocking everyone who witnessed it. And seeing them frozen in fear, Chen takes the opportunity to violate them, sending the players flying with his every swing. With this, the players realize that they couldn't win this fight. Not only that, but this hybrid beast's attacks inflict a potent poison, debuff that their potions couldn't keep up with. So surviving isn't an option either. With this realization, they understand that the hybrid werewolf was the true threat, and panic spreads among the players, causing them to abandon their assault on Zakas and attempt a hasty retreat. However, Chen has no intention of letting them escape, since it's imperative for the success of his plan that he eliminates every last one of them. This includes even Ling Ji, whom he had recently befriended. And in mere moments, Lu Chen dispatches every player, a fact that fills him with immense satisfaction as he makes a lot of money once again. And now that the coast is clear, he instructs his subordinates to retrieve the potions dropped by the defeated players. While they diligently carry out this task, Lu Chen decides to visit Ling Ji's live stream to observe what the other players are doing. As Lu Chen observes the aftermath of the battle on Ling Ji's live stream, it's evident that the defeated players are devastated by their loss. The elite group of 40 had been utterly wiped out in a matter of minutes, leaving them demoralized. Some even decide to log off the game and take a break, while others approach Ling Ji, imploring her to contact her friend Only I'm Wild, the only player who had successfully defeated Zakas. These players believe that Only I'm Wild might hold the key to defeating Zakas, and they think Ling Ji's charm could persuade him to reveal the secret. Initially, Ling Ji hesitates as she fears it might cost Only I'm Wild some of his earnings. However, the audacity of these players knows no bounds as they don't care about Only I'm Wild's interests, and so they just continue to pester Ling Ji, forcing her to follow their demands. And seeing that they aren't going to take no for an answer, Ling Ji has no choice but to approach Only I'm Wild for the information. But little did they know, this situation aligned perfectly with Lu Chen's plan. By sharing his knowledge with Ling Ji and indirectly with the other players, he not only puts them in his debt, but also bolsters his reputation as a trustworthy source of information. This would allow him to sell his poison mist set at a higher price and possibly start selling it earlier than he had initially planned. So Lu Chen provides her with the necessary information in defeating Zakas and convinces her that they didn't need to worry much about the hybrid monster since it didn't appear every time. Ling Ji is delighted and thanks him enthusiastically for the guidance. Now that that's settled and his subordinates have completely looted everything, he tells his subordinates to kill the remaining Zakas. The next day, Lu Chen ventures deeper into the forest with his 3 loyal, albeit sometimes cowardly, minions. Almost immediately, they stumble upon a level 10 python. Predictably, his minions start running in all directions, clearly not in the mood for a snake encounter. Lu Chen, shaking his head at their antics, orders those rascals to get back and start fighting. Sometimes it's hard to find good help even in a virtual world. He soon realizes that the only reason his minions are still alive is because of the endovenom items he had wisely equipped them with. But there's a bigger problem. Just like the spiders from before, the forest is crawling with snakes, and no matter how many they slay, the serpents keep coming. It's like someone forgot to set a limit on snake respawns. Their only saving grace is that the players who came before them left behind a mountain of potions. 2 hours later, they're utterly exhausted, but still locked in battle with the relentless snakes. With that, Lu Chen decides to call it a day. He logs out of the game and heads to bed, leaving the digital wilderness behind. The next morning, after a good night's sleep, he wakes up, logs back in, and returns to the forest. To his surprise, he finds that his wolves have been busy, hunting instead of logging out. Even more impressive, all of them have reached level 9. Once again, Lu Chen is taken aback by just how capable his minions are. These creatures are so intelligent that they even take turns recovering their health. It's like they've read the manual on teamwork. This is perfect for Lu Chen, as it means he doesn't have to worry about managing their levels. They're leveling up while he sleeps. Now, if only the rest of life worked that way. The most intriguing development, however, is that Lu Chen now has enough reputation to purchase the snake's bloodline. This comes with a particularly nasty talent, a poison that intensifies as the target moves. Without hesitation, he maxes it out, reaching a staggering 2.5% of health per second, with the damage increasing every time the target takes a step. At this rate, his character is less a hero and more a walking nightmare. He looks over his stats and realizes his character is becoming an absolute monstrosity. Sure, he's veering down the path of aesthetic ugliness, but who needs looks when you've got lethal venom coursing through your digital veins? His one attack now deals 93 damage and applies not one, but 2 poisons, one that lingers for 5 seconds and another that lasts a full 60 seconds, growing more lethal as the target moves. Lu Chen turns to his minions San and Sai and announces that it's time to hunt the entire forest together. With that, he and the werewolves set off, farming a bit more as they go. Everything seems to be going smoothly until they stumble upon something truly terrifying. The mistress of the round spiders. Her name is Evelynshire, and she's a level 12 boss known as the Queen of Poison. As if the name wasn't ominous enough, she probably hands out venom like party favors. Lu Chen immediately recognizes what this encounter means, a guaranteed piece of equipment. But he also knows it won't be easy. Deciding to take the risk, he plans to capitalize on the fact that no other monsters are nearby. However, things don't go as planned. Evelynshire gives him a sly little lick, just to taste the fear, before unleashing a rain of webs. In an instant, Lu Chen and all his minions are completely immobilized. Well, This certainly wasn't in the plan. Note to self: never underestimate a spider with a title. Chen quickly frees himself from the webs, but his poor minions remain trapped. At least he's got the freedom to chase after Evelynshire. No one said being the boss was easy. He immediately starts dealing heavy damage and applying his potent poison. Despite the fact that he's dishing out more damage per second than she is, Evelynshire's massive HP pool presents a serious challenge. To make matters worse, she's slowing down his movement and attack speed, making it harder to land effective hits. His one advantage is that he can still escape and let the poison work its magic on her. As he strategizes, the werewolves finally manage to break free and rush to rejoin the battle. But Evelynshire, not one to be caught off guard, turns her attention back to them and immobilizes them again. It's almost as if she enjoys playing with her food. By now, Chen has realized that the cooldown on her web ability resets just as soon as his minions get back into the fight, leaving him basically alone against the Spider Queen. The only viable strategy left is to chip away at her health bit by bit, taking advantage of the poison's lingering effect. Half an hour later, Chen finally brings down Evelynshire, the formidable mistress of the round spiders. His efforts are richly rewarded. A ton of items, including 2 4-star materials, the green piece of equipment, and even a recipe for a blue item. The recipe turns out to be for an advanced blue helmet with impressive stats, offering not just substantial defense but also a slew of abilities. Who knew spider slaying could be so lucrative? Chen marvels at the haul, realizing he has no idea how much all this loot could sell for. But one thing is clear: now that he knows she drops blue items, the smartest move is to stay in the forest and farm her for all she's worth. To his surprise, just half an hour later, she reappears. Impressed by the quick respawn, Chen wastes no time diving back into the battle, eager to score more valuable items. After 10 grueling hours, Chen is utterly exhausted, but the effort has paid off. He's managed to amass a massive stockpile of poison sets, perfectly timed for when players start suffering from the poison in the forest. That's when he plans to cash in big time. The 8 equipment slot costs 4,000 reputation, a hefty price. But this helmet is nice. With 11 physical defense, 7 strength, 9 agility, and 10 constitutions, he can bet it can be sold for a good price later. Already he's noticing players in the chat who are desperate and getting wrecked in the poison mist forest. Looks like the poison's doing its job, and the panic is just the cherry on top. Interestingly, no one has mentioned encountering the boss yet, so Chen figures they're probably still stuck in the first or second part of the area, which means more time for him to corner the market. Curious to see how things are unfolding, he decides to check out the live stream of that cute girl from earlier and maybe find a way to make some money on the side. As he tunes in, he sees the poor girl struggling against a horde of spiders, complaining that she's about to die again. Sure enough, she's soon back in the city, respawning after another defeat. She's lamenting the fact that they'll need a lot of items to defend against the poisons, but no one seems to know where to get them. Then a light bulb goes off in Lingji's head. Why not ask the one person who seems to have all the inside knowledge of this game? She sends a message to Chen, inquiring if he happens to have any items that could help with poison resistance. Naturally, our boy is sitting on a mountain of them. He casually mentions that he has a complete set ready to go. Lingji is stunned. She never expected him to be so well prepared. She immediately expresses interest in buying a full set and then, out of curiosity, asks how many he actually has. When Chen reveals that he has more than one full set to sell, her shock levels up. To test if he's serious, she ups the ante and asks if she could buy 3 sets. Without missing a beat, Chen tells her to open a trade room and send him the password. Lingji is still in disbelief, but then Chen casually places the 3 poison-resistant sets into the trade window. In a blink, he receives a cool 21,000 gold. She immediately equips the set, feeling like she just leveled up into a one-person army. Now she's confident she can breeze through the forest with ease. Watch out, spiders, there's a new boss in town. Of course, the moment this transaction goes down, Chen's inbox explodes with 99 messages from other desperate players eager to get their hands on the poison-resistant sets. Seeing the opportunity to rake in even more gold, he decides to hold an auction to squeeze out maximum profit. But Chen's no fool. He knows keeping his identity under wraps is key. So he does what any sensible, money-hungry gamer would do. He buys a female avatar to host the auction in secret. 10 minutes later, at a live event, Chen debuts his new, let's call it strategically attractive, avatar to host the auction. Sure, it's a bit awkward having to play the game like this, but the potential earnings make it all worth it. Besides, when gold's on the line, dignity can take a backseat. The first item up for auction is a spider silk helm. Bids start pouring in, each one higher than the last, until the first item sells for a hopping $9,800. Chen can hardly contain his excitement. already counting the fortune he's raking in. The second set goes for a hefty $9,400, and the third set fetches an even more impressive $9,800. Then is announced that there's only one set left. The crowd is stunned both by the jaw-dropping prices and by just how many sets Chen had up his sleeve. It's like he's running a factory in the background, churning out these sets faster than people can bid. After the final set is sold, the announcer isn't about to let the excitement die down. She decides to crank things up a notch, announcing to the eager crowd that the appetizer is officially over. It's now time for the main course. With a flair for drama, she reveals that the next sale will be full poison mist sets, auctioned off in bulk in sets of 3. The bidding war erupts instantly, with the price skyrocketing to 45,000 yuan in what feels like a heartbeat. The announcer, never one to miss an opportunity, cheekily asks if anyone is willing to go higher. Chen notes how cool it is to see so many wealthy people eager to spend their fortunes. He can't help but adore them. After all, their enthusiasm is filling his pockets. The announcer declares 45,000 yuan sold. She then adds that congratulations are in order for the lucky bidder. The crowd is left stunned, hanging on every word. Then she raises her hand, announces that they're now selling a second batch of 3 poison mist suits. The starting price for this new batch is set at 15,000 yuan. A guy steps up, holding a poster with the price boldly displayed as he shouts that it's 45,000 yuan. He grins with confidence, clearly enjoying the moment. Another bidder, clearly dissatisfied, questions whether the number 3 is exceptionally wealthy or just keen on picking up the suits. He turns to the boss, sitting nearby, and insists that they need to secure the poison mist suits. The boss, sensing an opportunity, raises the price and loudly announces it as 47,000 yuan. Not to be outdone, the next bidder enthusiastically counters with 50,000 yuan. The atmosphere thickens with competition as another man glares angrily and throws in a higher bid. The auction is heating up faster than a pot on the stove. The announcer brings her hammer down on the table once more, exclaiming, "Excellent." She announces that the current item has been sold and offers congratulations to bidder number 27. Next, she reveals that the third batch is up for grabs. 5 suits from the Poison Mist Forest, starting at 25,000 yuan, with a minimum bid increase of 5,000. The excitement in the room is palpable as the bids start rolling in. One enthusiastic girl, caught up in the frenzy, exclaims, "Only I Am Wild has so many costumes from the Poison Mist Forest." Meanwhile, a shirtless guy chimes in, emphasizing the minimum bid increase. Another man, raising his hand, insists this is the last chance and vows to fight until the end. The girl agrees, passionately declaring that they'll battle it out to the very last bid. Just then, the young man places a jaw-dropping bid of 90,000 yuan. The guy in the red t-shirt, clearly frustrated, curses and wonders aloud if the bidder has lost his mind. Meanwhile, the shirtless guy, leaning dramatically over the podium, yells that the 5 suits have been claimed. The announcer, unfazed by the commotion, declares 90,000 3 times before finally announcing it as sold. She congratulates bidder number 42, sealing the deal with a flourish. The man in the brown kimono turns to his friends with a resigned sigh, telling them it's time to leave because the auction is over. He admits with a touch of desperation that he knew from the start he wouldn't be able to secure the suits. Another friend, sharing the sentiment, laments the presence of too many wealthy bidders in the world. The announcer steps forward with a smile, declaring that today's auction has been a resounding success. As a special reward, she announces that she will share a piece of valuable information. Placing her hand on her waist, she reveals that many players believe that after defeating the snake, they will exit the Poison Mist Forest. However, she adds with a hint of mystery, an even more terrifying challenge awaits them. A man in a green jacket, standing behind the stands, asks in disbelief what could possibly be worse. Another man, completely shirtless, exclaims that this can't be true, that such a challenge must be nothing more than a mind game. A third man, dressed in a black shirt, voices his concern, asking if this revelation is indeed true. The announcer, who is actually Chen's female avatar, puts a finger to her lips and whispers that she has an additional piece of equipment that will help them break through the Poison Mist Forest. She is offering a secret weapon that's about to become the hottest commodity in the game. The man in the blue shirt raises his hand, asking if Only I Am Wild has another piece of equipment. Another player chimes in, wondering if this new equipment will actually help break through the Poison Mist Forest. A third person questions whether the equipment is truly that powerful, while someone else asks what kind of equipment it is. With a smile, the announcer announces that they've wrapped up the main course and are now moving on to dessert. A system panel appears, detailing the highest blue-class Evelynshire armor. This Poisonous Mist Forest Overlord armor boasts an impressive array of stats: level 10 strength, 21 physical defense, 3 magical defense, 10 poison resistance, 19 strength, 14 agility, and 24 constitution. Additionally, it includes a 10% reduction in the victim's movement and attack speed. It's like wearing a suit of armor that's also a slow-motion spell. The announcer, holding a hammer, declares that the equipment only I Am Wild wants to sell is indeed the Evelynshire armor, and they can see its attributes for themselves. The crowd gasps with excitement, shouting in unison about the blue item. One man, his eyes welling up with tears, exclaims in shock that this is the first blue item ever on the server. The man in the blue shirt marvels at the stats, noting the 21 units of physical defense and 10 units of poison resistance, clearly stunned. Another man, adorned with fur around his neck, points out that the equipment also has a skill that reduces the victim's movement and attack speed by 10%. A player, equally surprised, declares that this is the dessert of the auction and the real cherry on top. A short-haired girl, her fists clenched, eagerly asks how much only I Am Wild wants for the armor. Another girl chimes in, urging the announcer to reveal the price. It's clear that the auction's grand finale is about to get even more thrilling. Without further ado, the announcer kicks off the bidding, offering 3 pieces at once, starting at a cool 15,000 with a minimum price increase of 2,000. As the auction heats up, bids start flying. One person, almost in disbelief, can't help but wonder if they're really getting 3 sets of such powerful equipment in one go. Soon enough, the price shoots up. Minus 32,000 appears in the air, quickly followed by 46,000. The excitement builds as someone decides to throw caution to the wind and declares they're going all in, proudly declaring that only I Am Wild is invincible. A bid of 52,000 soon follows, with another bidder exclaiming that this thing is worth every single coin and then some. After some time, the sharp sound of the hammer echoes through the room. The announcer triumphantly declares the final bid of 60,000 is sold. The excitement doesn't wane as the next set swiftly sells for 65,000, and the last set closes out at 63,000. It's almost like watching a high-speed train of currency flying by. Chen, practically buzzing with enthusiasm, takes off his helmet. He mentally tallies the results of the auction, noting that it lasted just over an hour. After deducting the 10% auction fee, his profit stands at a hefty 397,980 yuan. His total savings now sit at 450,000 yuan. Chen leans forward, resting his hands on his knees, and whispers to himself that now his one hand is fully normal and functional, and he can feel one leg, though only intuitively. He mulls over the idea of buying a new apartment with his sister. A fresh start, he thinks. Maybe somewhere with a view. He then places his hand on his chin and quickly realizes he's just a bit short on funds. Guess those dreams will have to stay dreams for now, he decides, mentally committing to saving up a little more. He begins moving his wheelchair towards the door, still puzzled by the day's events. He reflects on how much equipment he sold and wonders aloud if anyone could possibly break through the poisonous mist forest. Then again, who in their right mind would even try? He quickly shrugs off the thought, deciding it's none of his business. His mind shifts to the next goal, bringing even more valuable equipment next time. But for now, the only mission that matters is getting some well-deserved sleep. Meanwhile, in the game, a loud announcement rings out, rallying the players. A group from the Sword Guild, YUAF Guild, and Wind Bell Group is about to launch a joint attack on the poisonous mist forest. The same booming voice belonging to the leader of the Sword Guild declares that the operation has begun. Behind him, everyone is swinging their bats with determination, ready to fight. They begin the charge. One player starts shoving others aside, desperately shouting that they need to start killing. Apparently, subtlety isn't on the menu today. Suddenly, huge spiders leap towards the advancing group, adding to the chaos. Another player, determined not to be outdone by a bunch of oversized bugs, exclaims that sooner or later they will break through the poisonous mist forest. With renewed vigor, someone else chimes in, reminding everyone that the main city of the 10th level awaits them. The players skillfully engage the spiders, whose hissing fills the air as they land heavily on their many legs. Ling Jie lands gracefully on her feet, instantly adopting a fighting stance. She scans the battlefield, and despite the exhaustion she sees in everyone's eyes, urges them to keep going. Rest can wait, victory is calling. Ling Ji's purple-haired friend, standing next to her, examines the items in her hands with a mix of surprise and satisfaction. She notes that they've taken down Widow Alice, and as a result, her gauntlet has now fallen into their possession. Not far off, the Sword Guild leader bellows that it's time to move forward towards the snakes. The group presses on, and soon enough, they're embroiled in a fierce battle with the hissing serpents. It's like a reptile house gone terribly wrong. Ling Ji, ever the strategist, shouts to the group not to disturb the order, her voice cutting through the chaos. She specifically addresses the 15th and 6th teams, commanding them to head upstairs. As the battle intensifies, Ling Ji strikes at the approaching head of a snake, venting her frustration by blaming the poison for their troubles. She adds that more snakes will soon be upon them, but she remains undeterred, dodging each attack with skill and precision. Determined to end this battle quickly, Ling Ji shouts to the fourth team, urging them to follow her as they prepare to face the next wave. No rest for the weary when there's still more slithering trouble ahead. By around 5 o'clock in the morning, the grueling battle finally comes to an end. Ling Ji, her voice filled with joy, shouts forward and exclaims with happiness that they've made it through. Her purple-haired friend races after her, adding that they've finally broken through the wall of snakes. They're the first to get here. Not exactly a victory lap, but it'll do, she thinks. Ling Ji, brimming with triumph, exclaims, "Excellent." But before they can savor their victory, the bald man behind her suddenly shouts for everyone to stop. His eyes widen as he urges them to look quickly, asking the question on everyone's mind. Who is that? With a quick gesture, Ling Ji halts the group of people running behind her. She points forward, her voice serious now, and declares that this is exactly who Only I Am Wild was talking about. She adds with a mix of awe and dread that there's something, or rather someone, more terrifying than the snakes they just defeated. Standing ominously before them is the 12th level boss of the Poison Mist Forest, Overlord Evelynshire. Since Only I Am Wild has defeated this boss all on his own, everyone assumes their chances of victory are pretty high. The idea of reaching the main city after taking down Evelynshire fills them with excitement. Victory seems almost too easy, like finding loose change in your couch. But that excitement doesn't last long. Evelynshire suddenly leaps towards them with alarming speed, catching everyone off guard. In a flash, she entangles them in her web, leaving the group in utter disbelief. It's like walking into a spider's lair only to realize you're the main course. As they struggle, they begin to wonder how Only I Am Wild managed to conquer such a beast. But there's no time to dwell on it. A harsh reality hits them as they realize that their entire night of grinding has been for nothing. Evelynshire, with merciless precision, takes them out instantly. Moments later, the sun rises fully, and so does Chen. Without wasting any time, he's already back in action, strapping on his VR headgear to dive into the game once more. This time, Evelyn makes a firm decision. It's time to leave the novice area behind. After all, you can only be the big fish in the small pond for so long before it's time to swim in deeper waters. Before leaving the novice area, Chen decides it would be a waste not to learn Evelynshire's field control ability. He heads to the reputation store and purchases the yellow level spell induction for 1,000 reputation points, considering it a reasonable investment. However, to his surprise, when he opens the reputation store, he discovers the price has doubled. Just when you think you've got a good deal, the system pulls a fast one. Realizing that arguing with the system would get him nowhere, he goes ahead with the purchase. After acquiring the spell induction, he promptly uses it on Evelynshire to gain her skill, Silk Entanglement. This skill allows him to employ Spider Silk, wrapping it around targets while consuming 1 mana per second, with the ability to entangle up to 10 targets at once. Not exactly your average knitting project. However, for non-spider species like himself, it requires an extra portion of tough spider silk for each target he entangles. Thankfully, Chen had wisely accumulated a considerable stockpile of spider silk in advance. Now that he had successfully acquired the silk entanglement skill, he felt there was no longer any reason to linger in the novice area. Without hesitation, Chen decides to depart, and 10 minutes later he and his subordinates reach a crossroads. One path leads to the level 10 main city, while the other heads towards the Beast's mountain range. Given Chen's current status, heading to the main city seems unwise. It's like showing up to a party in the wrong outfit, just not the right time. So Chen makes the decision to explore the Beast's mountain range first. Chen turns to his subordinates, San and Sai, and instructs them to follow him as they venture into the unknown. His goal is clear, to explore the area and see if there are any suitable monsters to recruit. To his surprise, the path leads them to a colossal mountain, hinting that the beasts here are equally enormous. Despite the looming challenges, Chen knows he has no other immediate options, so he presses on with his 3 subordinates. After all, when life gives you beasts, you might as well tame them. Chen finally makes his way deep into the mountains, encountering a diverse array of creatures including agile wolves, high-attack tigers, and thick-skinned bears. Despite their impressive attributes, none of them seem suitable for recruitment in his eyes. Apparently, Chen is not just looking for muscle, he needs the right kind of muscle. This prompts him to venture even further into the mountains. To his surprise, he stumbles upon an area known as Chaos Burial Hill. The eerie ambience sends shivers down his spine, yet its uniqueness suggests the possibility of encountering special creatures, instantly sparking his curiosity. Because who wouldn't be intrigued by a place that feels like it could star in its own horror movie? However, rushing into an unknown place isn't a wise choice, and Chen knows it. He decides to conduct an investigation first, examining a nearby tablet that provides crucial information. It reveals that the area is a level 20 zone inhabited by lingering spirits searching for their lost heads. Talk about a place that's literally haunted by its past. The system warns him that his character has now surpassed level 11, and his newbie protection is gone. The warning emphasizes the need for caution when entering this mysterious location, because nothing says proceed with caution like headless ghosts wandering around. With the reality of the situation now clear to him, Lu Chen cautiously ventures into the mysterious Chaos Burial Hill. To his surprise, the moment he steps inside, monstrous, level 24, Stygian nymph emerges from the ground as if she has been eagerly awaiting his arrival. This creature isn't just powerful, she is exceptionally hostile, especially towards weaker individuals like Lu Chen and his group. Apparently, welcoming committees here prefer fiery skulls over handshakes. The Stygian nymph wastes no time in attacking, hurling fiery skulls that inflict terrifying damage with a penetrating effect, passing through all of his subordinates. However, instead of being frightened, Lu Chen finds himself more intrigued. Nothing like a near-death experience to get the recruitment juices flowing, he thinks, recognizing that this monster is exactly the type of subordinate he needs. But Chaos Burial Hill isn't a place that allows anyone to just waltz in and have their way. A swarm of monsters appears, more than ready to clap them up. Realizing the odds, Lu Chen quickly decides that a tactical retreat is in order. After all, living to fight another day sounds like a pretty solid strategy right about now. Unfortunately for Lu Chen and his crew, the monsters weren't about to let some weak-ass interlopers casually disturb their slumber. Determined to teach them a lesson, the creatures unleashed an assault that would have made anyone else reconsider their life choices. It's like waking up a grumpy giant and then asking for a hug. Never ends well. But thanks to the damage reduction from their equipment, Lu Chen and his subordinates managed to survive the onslaught and make a narrow escape. Now that they've realized these monsters are far too strong to take on all at once, Lu Chen devises a new plan. He instructs his subordinates to stay near the entrance where it's safer, while he takes the bold step of luring Stygian nymph out on his own. After all, bravery is just stupidity with good equipment. This also presents the perfect opportunity to test his newly acquired skill, the spider silk bind. Time to see if this spider web trick is as sticky as advertised. 2 minutes later, after a bit of a struggle, Lu Chen successfully lures the Stygian nymph towards him. With a quick gesture, he attempts to activate his spider silk bind skill. However, much to his surprise, instead of the skill neatly activating from his hand, a fountain of spider juice erupts from his belly, coating the monster girl in a sticky white bind. Not exactly how he imagined his first try would go, definitely messier. After 10 minutes of this intense skill unloading, the Stygian nymph finally becomes willing to accept his recruitment. Apparently, persistence pays off in more ways than one. Due to the recruitment rules, her level is adjusted to match Lu Chen's, but her attributes remain formidable, boasting significant attack power. Moreover, with her undead bloodline, she possesses a unique ability to reduce the physical defense of surrounding enemies by 10%. A powerful ally indeed, just as long as she doesn't mind the sticky start. This newfound capability brings a delighted grin to his face. Wasting no time, he upgrades his Legion recruitment order to level 5, allowing him to recruit one more subordinate. With just 15 minutes of effort, he successfully acquires his 5th subordinate. This accomplishment triggers a hidden quest named A Place to Settle. The quest requires him to expel an elite wild creature with King and its name from the Beast's mountain range and obtain his own territory. Completion of this quest would grant him the right to claim the area and earn the title Fearless and Daring. Lu Chen finds this opportunity incredibly appealing but knows it would be wise to choose a higher-level area to ensure other players wouldn't easily wander onto his territory. With this in mind, he sets his sights on the tallest mountain within the Beast's mountain range, Huanyan Peak. He remembers that a level 25 white-striped tiger king resides there, making it the ideal location for his new territory. Lu Chen promptly engages the white-striped tiger king, a creature with an imposing presence that would make even the bravest player think twice. Fortunately for him, the Tiger King doesn't have any minions, which makes the battle seem a bit more manageable. Deciding to confront the beast head-on, Lu Chen positions his subordinates at the rear for ranged attacks. This tactic, though challenging, allows them to coordinate effectively. It's like playing a deadly game of tag, except the one whose it can crush you with a single swipe. The boss proves to be incredibly fast, and its attacks are devastating. So much so that Lu Chen's HP barely hangs on through each blow. But with determination and careful strategy, he manages to defeat the Tiger King at the 40-minute mark. Not exactly a sprint, but victory tastes just as sweet. However, just before the white-striped Tiger King meets its end, a system message pops up, presenting Lu Chen with 2 options. He can either kill the boss for its regular rewards or expel it to complete his mission. By selecting the second option, the boss's respawn location would reset. a choice between immediate gratification or long-term gain. Always a tough call. Knowing that he needs to fulfill the mission requirements, Chen decides on the latter, expelling the Tiger King to secure his new territory. As a result of his decision, Chen is rewarded with a prestigious, fearless, and daring title. Soon after, he's presented with another mission. This time, it requires him to clear the wild creatures on Granium Peak in order to rename it. But before diving into that task, he's eager to explore the benefits of his new title. To his delight, the title grants him a 20% base HP bonus as an attribute. Talk about a health boost they'll keep on giving, he thinks, especially since it's percentage-based, ensuring it remains potent as he continues to level up. With renewed spirits and a grin that's hard to hide, Chen sets out to complete his next mission. Armed with his newfound title and the force of wild creatures under his command, Chen finds the game even more captivating. Excitement surges through him as he embraces his role, directing his subordinates to clear the monsters ahead. Their combined strength results in a steady stream of experience points and valuable upgrade materials. Before long, the sweet sound of equipment drops fills the air like music to a gamer's ears. To his delight, Chen receives not just one but two items simultaneously, a white-grade spiked wolf fawn club and a pair of white wolf hide leggings. This unexpected windfall only adds to his excitement. It's like finding treasure where you least expect it. Eagerly, he rallies his subordinates, informing them that it's time to upgrade everyone's equipment. After all, a well-equipped team is a winning team. An hour later, Chen successfully reaches level 12. To his surprise, a system notification pops up, informing him about the level 12 solo secret realm of Moon Valley. This unique gameplay feature within the Empyrean God realm is divided into solo and multiplayer modes. Unlike regular dungeons, Moon Valley has no entry limits during its opening times. Since it's a solo dungeon, Chen knows he won't be able to bring his subordinates along. He instructs them to continue leveling up outside, advising them to avoid engaging too many monsters at once. Instead, he recommends they fight in 5-on-5 battles and take a break when their HP drops below 40%. Safety first, even in a game, it's the smart way to play. With those instructions settled, Chen approaches the portal to the secret realm. Just as he's about to enter, another system notification appears, revealing some intriguing details. The notification explains that this secret realm will drop items according to the player's needs. To enter, he must offer something to the secret realm. The first player to discover the secret realm and make an offering will receive 5 times the rewards. Now that's a deal too good to pass up. Additionally, the equipment obtained from the realm won't be of lower quality than the items offered, and there's a higher chance of obtaining equipment for the same parts as those offered. It's like trading in a clunker and driving out with a sports car. To top it off, you can put in 2 items. Chen's mind races with possibilities, knowing this could be a game changer if he plays his cards right. Time to make an offering that counts. This was a great opportunity for Chen, so he carefully considers what to offer, initially contemplating whether to contribute weapons or armor. But as he thinks it over, a sudden realization strikes him. Why sacrifice equipment when upgrade materials could yield even better returns? Understanding the long-term value, Chen recognizes that offering 4-star materials is far more cost-effective. These materials would remain relevant even as he ranks up, making them a smarter choice than equipment. With the 5% increase in loot drops for being the first player to discover the secret realm, he's certain he could make a fortune. With this in mind, he doesn't hesitate to offer the 4-star materials. After making his offering, Chen enters the dungeon and is instantly captivated by its spaciousness. It's like stepping into a treasure vault, only with a bit more danger and a lot more potential for profit. While Chen admires the dungeon's interior, a global announcement suddenly broadcasts, alerting all players that a character named Only I'm Wild has just discovered the level 12 solo secret realm of Moon Valley and earned the title Moon Pioneer. This triggers the official opening of the secret realm to all players, urging them to hurry if they want a shot at the secret treasure. The announcement catches everyone off guard, not because of the secret realm itself, but because Only I'm Wild seems to be leveling up at breakneck speed. Honestly, is this guy secretly chumming XP potions? To make matters worse, Only I'm Wild has already claimed a title, something most players find incredibly difficult, especially since many of them haven't even left the novice village yet. Talk about setting the bar high. Chen, upon receiving the same global announcement, can't help but curse at the feature. So much for flying under the radar. Thanks, game. He never intended to draw this much attention, but now the entire server is in on it. Nevertheless, since he can't change what's already done, Chen decides to let it go and focus on the bright side. He's snagged another title that grants him a 10% strength bonus. After all, who needs stealth when you've got muscles? Besides, the monsters have already spawned, so there's really no point in complaining. Ready for action, Chen eagerly dives into battle. Fortunately for him, even though the moon's silver wolves are numerous, they aren't particularly tough. He can handle 5 of them at a time without breaking a sweat. And just as he hoped, every time he takes down a moon wolf, he gains 5 times the amount of upgrade materials. That's the kind of math everyone loves. The instant boost in resources brings a huge grin to his face, fueling his enthusiasm as he continues his merciless rampage. With the sheer number of monsters he's mowing down, it takes him just an hour to level up again. He also collects over 1,000 materials, allowing him to enhance all of his talents to 4 stars. With this upgrade, a significant change appears in his attributes as maximum physical attack now hits 233, his defense climbs to 142, and even his HP is nearing 5,000. At this rate, he might need to start renting out some of that HP. Thanks to his mixed 4-star bloodlines, his critical chance, movement speed, and poison damage all see substantial boosts as well. On top of that, he has earned a king title as a prefix, signifying that he's officially become a boss. Cue the dramatic music and victory dance. The only thing holding him back from ranking up further is his lack of knowledge about where to find the ancient heart and ancient fragment materials. It's like having a treasure map with no X to mark the spot. However, Chen isn't done with the dungeon yet. There's still the boss to deal with. Setting aside thoughts of ranking him up to 5 stars for the moment, he decides to hunt down the dungeon's boss. Being a boss monster himself now, he's not exactly intimidated by the prospect. After all, it takes one to know one. And just like that, he encounters the dungeon's boss. Wasting no time, he launches his attack. As soon as their strikes collide, Chen feels more than confident that this fight will be a breeze. With a smug sense of superiority, he taunts the boss, calling it a weak ass while he smacks it with his rod. Because if you can't be classy, at least be effective. True to his assumption, he defeats the boss in just minutes, earning 4,000 experience points and 3 5-star materials in the process. The instant wealth boost makes him ecstatic. He's now richer than ever before. Meanwhile, other players are in for the shock of their lives as the system announces yet again that the secret realm has been cleared and will close in 5 minutes. This news leaves them thoroughly disappointed as they haven't even had the chance to explore the place, let alone grab any loot. It's like getting to the party just as the lights are being turned off. And to make matters worse, they have no idea when it will open again. Talk about the ultimate case of FOMO. Meanwhile, Chen exits the dungeon with a hefty haul of extra materials. Deciding to put them to good use, he exchanges them for reputation points and upgrades his Legion recruitment order to the maximum level. Now he can recruit 10 subordinates, which is a huge boost to his growing power. More minions, more mayhem. What's not to love? He also unlocks a new position within his ranks, the squad leader. This role allows his subordinates to lead a squad of 5 units independently, giving his forces even more flexibility and strength. As if that wasn't enough, a new mission pops up requiring him to set up a camp. The task involves cutting down 500 trees and collecting 500 units of stone to build a residence for his subordinates within his territory. Upon completion, he'll be rewarded with a 3rd-stage defense formation known as the 4-sided Epic Guardian Formation. Because what's a home without a bit of epic defense? Energized by these new developments, Chen wastes no time in recruiting more monsters to bolster his ranks. After all, why stop at just being powerful when you can be unstoppable? Once their group is complete, Chen instructs them to start chopping trees and moving stones. He even sweetens the deal by letting them know that if they finish ahead of schedule, they can level up together. There's been hours of non-stop grinding for Chen, so he decides it's time for a well-deserved break from the game. As soon as he removes his VR helmet, a smile creeps onto his face. He realizes he's earned 500,000 yuan in less than a week. It almost feels like a dream, but the sensation returning to his upper body assures him it's very real. He can now move his other arm as well. He eagerly looks forward to the day he'll return to his normal self, and that day doesn't seem too far off now. He can already feel warmth in his thighs, a promising sign. But before he gets back to full health, he has another goal in mind, buying a house. With 500,000 yuan, it won't be a mansion, but it will be enough for him and his stepsister. After all, home is where the heart and the Wi-Fi is. With this in mind, he takes out his phone and checks out a newly opened boutique-sized apartment in Huangshan Yipin. The place is fully furnished and costs only 400,000 yuan, with a 10,000 yuan deposit required up front. A bargain like that in today's market is practically a steal. The best part is that he can get a full refund if he changes his mind, so he's thrilled at the thought of visiting it tomorrow. A new home and a little surprise for Lu Yi. Now that's how you level up in real life. Meanwhile, in the Sea Country's National Security Bureau, Special Action Group leader Lai Muhua is reporting to his director, Lin Hai. Lai Muhua informs the director that their bureau has successfully established a special action group to participate in the game. However, he can't help but express his confusion about why they're placing such importance on a game. After all, aren't there more pressing matters than virtual worlds? The director, Lin Hai, explains that the game Empyrean Realm is far more complex than it appears on the surface. Governments and militaries worldwide are getting involved, which hints at its potential to reshape the future of mankind. He speculates that if there comes a time when a second Empyrean Realm goes online, they might finally gain a deeper understanding of the forces at play. Because when governments start gaming, you know something big is on the horizon. Now that the situation is clarified to his subordinates, the director asks about their progress in the game. Manhwa hesitates before admitting that the game has been quite challenging for their team. They're currently stuck in the poison mist forest. Not exactly the kind of mission success story you want to share with the boss. The director, however, has a solution to their dilemma. He suggests they find out who Only I'm Wild is. Given that they are the National Security Bureau, uncovering the identity of this unique player shouldn't be too difficult. After all, they've cracked bigger mysteries than a gamer with a weird handle. The next mission becomes clear. They need to befriend this madman at any cost. Because in a game that could change the world, having the right allies is everything. The next day, Chen arrives at Huangshan Yipin, where he is promptly greeted by one of the staff members. She inquires if he's there to check out the property and offers her assistance, to which Chen confirms, specifying that he's interested in seeing the small-sized apartment. With that, they proceed directly to where the sample units are displayed. Meanwhile, in the shadows, three men in suits closely observe Chen, carefully checking if he is indeed the person they've been searching for. One of them is unsure, finding it hard to believe that the skilled player known as Only I'm Wild could be disabled in real life. After all, it's hard to picture a gaming legend being anything less than invincible. However, his colleague reassures him that it is indeed Chen, despite the information stating that he can only move his head and one arm. There's no doubt it's definitely him, because sometimes even legends have their limitations. However, the agents can't approach Chen so suddenly. Manhwa instructs them to be patient and wait for the right opportunity to get closer. Meanwhile, Chen continues his tour of the apartment, receiving reassurances from the staff about the quality of the property. She emphasizes that he won't make a bad purchase or be deceived, because nothing says trust us like a hard sell. With only one unit left, the staff member urges Chen to proceed with the purchase without hesitation, stressing that the property could be gone in a moment. The urgency seems suspicious, to say the least, but Chen, eager to surprise Liu Yi and confident that there will be plenty of opportunities to make more money later, doesn't pick up on the hustle. After all, when you're rolling in virtual riches, what's a little real-world pressure? And just like that, he's about to buy the apartment. Fortunately, before Chen can proceed with the purchase, a pink-haired woman intercepts them, advising him not to buy the apartment due to existing issues. Her sudden intervention shocks all the staff members, but she's not one to back down. Before anyone can take preventive action, she loudly announces to everyone within earshot, warning them not to purchase any more apartments from Huangshan Yipin. According to her, the apartment complex has serious quality problems, and there's a high possibility it might collapse. Her bold move proves highly effective. Even if people are unsure about the truth of her claims, it's better to be safe than sorry, especially when their life savings are on the line. After all, who wants to gamble with their future on a shaky foundation? Even Chen immediately changes his mind, fully aware that once he makes the payment, getting it back wouldn't be easy. Sometimes the best deal is the one you walk away from. Seeing their potential buyers turning into potential losses, the staff quickly recognizes that this pink-haired woman is a genuine threat to their business. Deciding to escalate the situation, they call for security to remove her and prevent any further disruptions. After all, nothing says we value customer feedback like driving someone out. The guards arrive promptly, clearly ready for some action. The leader, believing in equal opportunity when it comes to being ruthless, instructs his men that it's okay to be rough with the woman. His subordinates, equally savage, assure him that they were planning to do just that even without his permission. Talk about going above and beyond in all the wrong ways. In their eagerness, one of the goons even hurls a stray curse at Chen, who gets caught in the crossfire just for being nearby. Because why not spread the love or the insults, in this case? After that, they head straight for the woman, forcefully showing her where the exit is. With the situation escalating, the girl desperately asks everyone in the room for help, thinking they might be on her side after her warning. To her shock, instead of stepping in, the bystanders are more interested in recording her for some laughs and views. It's the modern-day equivalent of watching a train wreck, only with a camera in hand. Their behavior is cruel, to say the least. If they didn't want to get involved, they could have just ignored her, which would have been the bare minimum after she tried to warn them. But instead, they laugh and humiliate her, taking pleasure in her misfortune. Unable to believe their audacity, she still tries to reason with them, telling them she's here for their sake. But even with her heartfelt plea, they continue filming, showing no signs of stopping. As the saying goes, no good deed goes unpunished, and sometimes is filmed for posterity. But unlike the others, Lu Chen is present and he can't stand by while someone who clearly helped him gets bullied. Without hesitation, he intercepts the goons, determined to put a stop to their harassment. To his surprise, these guys are relentless, hurling insults at him at every opportunity, calling him a fool who likes to pretend to be a hero. Apparently, chivalry isn't dead. It's just a target for cheap shots. These goons don't hesitate to gang up on him, but Lu Chen quickly concludes that they must enjoy playing catch. So naturally, he makes them try to catch these hands, left and right. Humiliating them on the spot, he blocks their attacks with ease. Lu Chen is surprised by how much stronger he's become. Even his reaction speed has noticeably increased. Looks like all that in-game leveling is paying off in unexpected ways. However, these goons aren't about to let some nobody humiliate them like that, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to bring him down, even if it means flipping his wheelchair over. Luckily for Lu Chen, Manhwa and his men in suits decide to step in at just the right moment. They've already concocted a story to throw everyone off, claiming that the goons are making a grave mistake by laying their hands on Lu Chen, because he is, in fact, their young master. This revelation catches Lu Chen completely off guard, but he quickly realizes that reacting now would only complicate things. Sometimes the best move is just to sit back and let the experts handle the drama. So he wisely keeps quiet and lets these suited brothers do their thing. And do they ever? These men in suits beat the crap out of the goons without holding back. Their sheer brutality finally makes the leader of the goons realize who they're really up against. It's amazing how quickly attitudes change when fists start flying. Realizing the severity of the situation, the leader hurriedly apologizes, clearly understanding that they've messed with the wrong young master. Manhwa smoothly shifts his attention to Lu Chen, seamlessly maintaining the act. Addressing Lu Chen once again as young master, he offers a sincere apology for any startle he may have caused, assuring him that if there are no further concerns, they will take care of everything from here. In sync with their performance, Lu Chen nods and grants them permission to proceed, all the while wondering if these guys might be from the Empyrean God realm. Lu Chen intends to take his leave, but just before he can make his exit, another troublesome group decides to intervene. They arrogantly introduce themselves as the Jian Gong group led by their manager, Mr. Huang. Their smug faces suggest they think they're untouchable. Clearly, they haven't read the script. However, their confidence is about to take a nosedive. Manhwa, not one to waste time, makes a quick phone call to old Zhao, exposing the entirety of the Jian Gong group's questionable business practices. But, as expected, Huang fails to grasp the gravity of the situation, dismissing Manhwa's actions as mere bluffing. After all, when you're used to throwing your weight around, it's easy to forget that sometimes the house of cards can come crashing down. Huang remains cocky, relying on the Jian Gong group's formidable influence in Jiang City. Huang is overly confident that Manhwa's efforts are futile. However, Manhwa's calm and collected demeanor suggests otherwise. He calmly informs them that they have less than 10 minutes left. But Huang, thinking he's untouchable, dismisses the warning and tries to act cool, ironically calling out Manhwa for doing the same. It's like watching a bad movie where the villain just doesn't know when to quit. In response to the warning, Huang smugly declares that they now have only 1 minute left, instructing his henchmen to deal with the situation. Because nothing says I'm in control like ignoring the ticking clock on your downfall. Even the henchmen adopt Huang's overconfidence, boasting that it won't take more than a minute to deal with what they believe are merely small-time thugs. After all, nothing boosts morale like underestimating your opponent. Fueled by their disdain for pretentious bastards, they don't hesitate to strike first. However, it quickly becomes clear that they made a grave miscalculation. Instead of dominating the fight, they find themselves getting their asses handed to them. Even Huang, who was so sure of his victory, is left in stunned disbelief as his men come flying across the room. The look of shock on his face is priceless. Clearly, this wasn't part of his master plan. At that moment, Huang realizes he's royally messed up. Desperate to save his skin, he frantically apologizes to Manhwa, admitting his mistake and even offering compensation for their troubles. Classic move, trying to buy his way out of a beating. But unfortunately for Huang, Manhwa is already fired up and in no mood to let things slide. So Huang gets exactly what he deserves. Even though it's just one well-placed tap, it's hard enough to make Huang curl up in agony. Sometimes a single hit is all it takes to knock the arrogance out of someone. With all of them now sprawled on the ground, Manhwa continues his act, telling them that this is the price they pay for offending his young master. He warns that anyone else foolish enough to provoke their young master will regret it for the rest of their lives. And with that kind of display, who wouldn't? Seeing this, everyone around now firmly believes that the guy in the wheelchair must be the son of some powerful family. After all, it's not every day you see a whole room brought to its knees for one young master. The pink-haired girl isn't convinced at first after all. Why would the son of a big family come here to buy a place like this? But she's later swayed as the other elders in the room clarify that this must be a test set by the family, and now that the test is over, it's time for the young master to return to his rightful position, because nothing says coming of age like a surprise real estate exam. Seeing that their facade has convinced everyone, Manhwa doubles down on his act. He suddenly bows to Chen, welcoming him back to the family and announcing that the 3-year deadline is finally up. Chen is flabbergasted, to say the least, recognizing this scenario as something straight out of the plot of the famous drama called The Crooked-Mouthed Dragon King. The fact that Manhwa is so natural about it only adds to the surrealness of the moment. Nevertheless, Chen quickly catches on to the assignment. He skillfully taps into his inner actor, responding to Manhwa as if he truly were a young master from a prestigious family. Exuding a smug demeanor, he conveys the notion that he had long desired a normal life, but now, with their presence, living an ordinary existence seems like a luxury he can no longer afford, because when life gives you drama, you might as well play the lead role. Even Manhwa finds himself taken aback by Chen's boldness. It appears that Chen might be even better at putting on a show than Manhwa himself. Not long after, the police arrive at the scene, swiftly arresting Huang and his men. The giant Gong group, entangled in a web of corruption between officials and businessmen, faces accusations ranging from failing to meet construction standards to land grabbing, fraud, and even violent injuries and deaths. With all this crashing down, Huang can only wallow in regret, realizing too late that the man in the wheelchair has a far more terrifying background than he could have imagined. Guess Huang's future building projects will involve more bricks and bars. Once that matter is resolved, the chief wastes no time in approaching Manhwa to offer an apology. He admits that it was their oversight that allowed these criminals to wreak havoc for so long and agrees that it's only fair to punish them. However, Manhwa isn't one to be harsh with his allies. Seeing that the culprits are already in handcuffs, he decides to let it go. He simply tells them they can all return, as he has something important to discuss with the young master. The chief probably breathes a sigh of relief, dodged a bullet there. With this turn of events, Manhwa finally gets the private moment he needs. He asks Chen to find a quiet place for a conversation, a request that's been on his mind for a while. Chen readily agrees, having noticed even the chief nodding and bowing in deference. It quickly becomes clear to him that this individual must have a prestigious background. Recognizing that this person clearly has something to ask of him, Chen hopes it won't be too troublesome. Fingers crossed, it's not another world-saving mission. However, before they can proceed, the pink-haired girl approaches Chen to express her gratitude for his assistance. She tells him that the fact that he came from someone with such an impressive background is something she hadn't expected. In response, Chen also expresses his gratitude for her warning everyone. However, Manhwa, not one to keep important matters waiting, quickly steps between them and informs her that they need to depart immediately. He makes it clear that his subordinates will handle expressing any further gratitude for assisting their young master. When the boss says it's time to go, you don't stick around for small talk. A few moments later, they find themselves in a restaurant's VIP room. Chen, not one to waste time, immediately asks about their identities. Manhwa, however, apologizes, explaining that they can't disclose that information just yet. Instead, he reveals the reason they sought him out. There's someone in the Empyrean God realm known as Only I Am Wild, and they need his help. In response, Chen questions why they believe he could locate this individual. Manhwa doesn't provide a clear explanation, but instead emphasizes that their network defense system is impeccable, unlike banks and other systems. With this revelation, Chen instantly realizes that these individuals are far from ordinary. The ability to query bank records goes far beyond the capabilities of a typical organization, making him wary of their intentions. He starts to wonder what more these people could possibly want from him. On the other hand, from Manhwa's perspective, the situation is straightforward. They need Chen's help because they have 500 people trapped in front of the snake tide and desperately require assistance navigating through the poison mist forest. So to demonstrate their sincerity and persuade him, Manhwa presents Chen with a card that grants him the privilege to choose any villa in Diamond Manor as a reward if he decides to lend them a hand. However, Chen, being sharp-witted, quickly recognizes that the offer is an exceedingly generous reward for what seems like a relatively small favor in assisting them with a game. Consequently, he declines their offer, which prompts Manhwa to attempt to counter. He emphasizes that the Empyrean God Realm has just opened its first layer, and that there are many days ahead for their partnership. However, this reasoning doesn't sit well with Chen, who dislikes owing favors. He firmly sticks to his belief that he should earn what he wants through his own efforts. Lai Mua respects his decision and understands that forcing him to accept the initial offer would go against his principles. Therefore, Lai Mua revises the proposal, suggesting that the card would now come with a 30% discount on the chosen property instead of being entirely free. Additionally, they pledge to safeguard both his and his family's privacy, a gesture that Chen immediately appreciates. Recognizing that they've taken his preferences into account, he agrees to their revised proposal. Who can say no to a good discount, especially when it comes with a side of security? However, before committing to help them, Chen seeks an explanation as to why they're going to such great lengths for what appears to be just a game. This prompts Lai Mua to clarify what Chen already suspects. The Empyrean God Realm is far from a simple game. It already involves global governments and military forces worldwide, though the specifics remain elusive. The response is disappointing, to say the least, but Chen sees no reason to doubt this man's words. If any details are being concealed, it likely means he doesn't need to know them at the moment. Considering that they have already given him enough, Chen decides to let it go. Before departing, however, he instructs Lai Mua to come to the Poison Mist Forest between 7 and 7:30 tonight. This surprises Lai Mua, as Chen hasn't revealed how to navigate the forest yet. Nevertheless, it seems he has no choice but to trust Chen, who assures him that they'll find out the details when they get there. Sometimes, it's all about the mystery, isn't it? Meanwhile, Chen smiles to himself, knowing that the 30% discount card is incredibly valuable. Of course, the ability to protect both his and his sister's privacy outweighs any inconvenience, making it worth cooperating a bit. After all, a good deal and a little peace of mind are hard to pass up. Later, as the designated time that Chen had specified arrives, Lai Mua and the Iron Blood Defenders gather at the Poison Mist Forest, waiting patiently for everyone to log in. Lai Mua instructs them that their plan is to rush the Poison Mist Forest at exactly 7:00 p.m. In the meanwhile, his guildmates express their concerns, doubting whether their plan, which they admit seems pretty foolish, would actually work. After all, who in their right mind would rush through the forest aimlessly? To make matters worse, their equipment is subpar, and although they'd love to purchase better gear, the reality is that Poison Mist sets are now both scarce and highly sought after. When your best gear is a hand-me-down, you know you're in trouble. Their only option is to trust Chen's words, so as soon as the last member logs in, they waste no time charging forward. To their astonishment, upon reaching their destination, they're greeted by a sight that leaves them completely dumbfounded. Chen is nowhere to be found, but the evidence of his presence is unmistakable. He has single-handedly cleared all the monsters, wiping out the entire wolf pack, a task that their guild have struggled to accomplish even together. It's like showing up to a group project only to find out one person did all the work and nailed it. But what astonishes them even more is that Chen had not only dealt with the regular monsters, but also defeated the boss of the Poison Mist Forest, a feat that was far from easy. Countless guilds had been forced to retreat from the area because of her, and yet here Chen was soloing the forest as if it were just another day. The idea that Chen might be stronger than an entire guild leaves them grappling with disbelief. It's like watching someone casually bench press a truck while you struggle with dumbbells. Unbeknownst to them, Chen didn't tackle the task entirely alone. He even acknowledges that he would have struggled to accomplish the favor without the assistance of his minions. With the favor settled, Chen resumes his grind, and just like that, 2 days pass swiftly. Through his relentless efforts, he manages to acquire 47 pieces of spiked wolf fang club, 53 wolf skin leggings, and everyone in the group reaches level 14. Remarkable progress by any measure. During this time, Chen also obtains a new piece of equipment from a 3-petal flower monster, a 100-flower-long skirt, something he had never encountered before. To his excitement, it turns out to be unique equipment. He wonders if there is such a thing. The fact that it took over 2 days to drop just one piece certainly justifies its rarity. However, there's a catch. It can only be worn by female characters. But this little detail doesn't bother Chen much, since he is a monster after all. Still, a unique effect of the skirt is hard to ignore. Not only does it emit a faint fragrance, but it also increases movement speed by 5% and has a small chance to confuse opponents. This debuff could cause targets with a lower level than the wearer to lose consciousness and be controlled for 30 seconds, a really powerful passive ability. However, since he couldn't equip it himself, Chen decides to auction it instead. Given that this item is the first of its kind, he's uncertain about its market value. But drawing from past experiences, Chen knows the best approach is to start the auction with a starting bid of 1,000, without setting any buy-up price. This strategy is designed to maximize the potential selling price through competitive bidding. After all, why settle for a quick sale when you can spark a bidding war? This strategy proves to be a smart move because the unique item quickly catches the attention of many female players, including Ling Ji. What intrigues them even more is that the skirt doesn't occupy a normal equipment slot, but rather a prop slot, a feature that piques the curiosity of many. The additional stats and passive effects make it even more desirable, and Ling Ji, unable to resist, tries it on. To her delight, it looks even more beautiful when worn, and the faint, pleasant fragrance adds an extra touch of freshness. Who knew a virtual skirt could come with a built-in perfume? With this, Ling Ji instantly falls in love with the skirt and becomes determined to buy it, no matter the cost. However, much to her frustration, every time she places a bid, it is instantly surpassed no matter how high the price she offers. It becomes clear that numerous players are fiercely competing for the item, making the process quite challenging. It's like trying to grab the last piece of cake at a party. Everyone wants a slice. The intense bidding war is fueled by wealthy players and eager simps who are willing to spend far more than they can afford, all for the chance to own this rare item. As a result, the bid continues to skyrocket, rapidly increasing with each passing second. Soon enough, with only 5 seconds left, the bid has already reached a staggering 65,000 yuan. Recognizing the critical importance of the final moments, Ling Ji instructs her chat to pause for a moment, needing to focus entirely on timing her bid perfectly. She knows that bidding at the last second might be her only chance to secure the skirt. However, much to her surprise, just as the timer hits the 1-second mark, it suddenly freezes. This unexpected glitch suggests that other players had also planned to place last-second bids, causing a server lag. It's like everyone tried to squeeze through the door at the same time, and now they're all stuck. Classic. As a result, the 100-flower-long skirt was successfully sold. A player named Spring Dew Fairy Dance bought it for an impressive 98,700 yuan. After deducting the 10% handling fee, a total of 88,830 yuan was transferred to Lu Chen's bank card. Thrilled with the outcome, especially considering he had almost sold it for a mere 2,000 yuan, Lu Chen couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement. With this transaction, his bank balance now exceeded 650,000 yuan. When factoring in the 30% discount card, he found himself in a position to consider purchasing a house worth almost 1,000,000 yuan. However, Lu Chen knew he shouldn't rush into any decisions. He was mindful of not repeating the same mistake he had made before, hastily buying a house without thorough investigation. Therefore, he decided to postpone his decision and focus on the game for the time being. After all, it's better to be cautious than to end up with a fancy roof over your head and nothing left in your wallet. With this cautious mindset, Lu Chen decides to prioritize fusing and enhancing the bloodline of the 3-petal flower monster. As a result, his field of vision expands by an impressive 400 meters, and he becomes immune to low-level charm effects. This newfound enhancement leads to another mutation. This time, a plant sprouts on his head, allowing his enhanced vision to take effect. The sudden improvement astonishes him, as the 400-meter leap in vision is nothing short of incredible. But what surprises him even more is that this enhancement helps him notice a hidden area that had been right in front of him all along. This discovery suggests that the mist surrounding the area might have had a low-level charm effect, which is why he couldn't see it before. The revelation adds an air of mystery to what lies within, sparking his curiosity and prompting him to venture further into this enigmatic place. After all, who can resist exploring the unknown, especially when it's right under your nose, or in this case, right on your head? Surprisingly, just as Lu Chen prepares to continue, a tablet materializes before him, revealing crucial information about what lies beyond the mist. This place is called the Lost Eden, a realm inhabited by roaming monsters with a path that leads only to destruction. The warning advises against entering, stating that once someone crosses the threshold, the Garden of Eden won't stop expanding its territory until the 8 formation eyes are brought down. Such a dire warning would normally deter any sane player from venturing further. But of course, Lu Chen isn't just any player. Ignoring the ominous advice, he decides to push forward, venturing beyond the mist. Consequently, a server-wide warning is immediately issued, informing everyone that the player Only I'm Wild has triggered the Lost Eden server-wide task called Resist the Invasion. This announcement shocks players across all servers. The title of the task alone gives off an ominous vibe, leaving everyone to wonder just what this Only I'm Wild character has done to stir up such trouble. But their curiosity doesn't last long. Another system interface pops up, explaining that this event is a level 20 server-wide task triggered by the activation of an unknown mist on the east side of the server, which is spreading rapidly. The situation quickly becomes a significant issue as the mist not only enhances the strength of wild monsters, but also weakens human attacks, abilities, and skill effects. To make matters worse, the mist permanently corrodes equipment, reducing durability limits that cannot be repaired, and it also slows down mana recovery speed. It's as if Chen just opened Pandora's box, except this time the box is filled with doom and gloom for everyone. To prevent disaster, players are informed that they must destroy the 8 formation eyes and Lost Eden as quickly as possible. If successful, the player who destroys a formation eye will receive a special reward, and the entire server will benefit from double experience for 10 hours. This news sends some players into a panic, wondering how they could possibly clear a level 20 task. Questions arise about whether only I'm Wild has already reached level 20, but another player quickly clarifies that it's impossible for anyone to have leveled up that fast. The task is set at level 20 simply because it's a server-wide event, which inherently increases the difficulty level. It's like throwing everyone into the deep end and hoping they swim, no pressure. With that clarification, the only remaining problem is that no one knows where Lost Eden is located. But before they can do anything, another system interface pops up, notifying them that due to the server-wide task, all servers will temporarily merge into one. Players are forced to log off in 2 minutes, and the merger will last 15 minutes. So they have no choice but to be patient and wait before they can start the task. It's the calm before the storm, and everyone's just waiting for the floodgates to open. I hope that you liked today's video, and if you did, hit that like button as today's like goal is 1,500 likes. Comment part 3 down below for the next part. Also, consider subscribing with the notification bell on to get notified as soon as a new video drops onto the channel. You can also join the channel to support me financially and watch videos before public release. I'll meet you in the next video. Until then, thanks for watching.